Good morning. A revolt against Sir Keir Starmer.
Labour MPs and union bosses openly call for the Prime Minister to quit after the party's worst local election results in history.
I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Well, Labour have lost more than 1,000 councillors and lost power in Wales for the first time since devolution, while the SNP has tightened its grip on Scotland.
As support collapses across former heartlands, Reform UK have surged.
We're seeing some truly historic shifts in voting patterns in parts of this country. Things, frankly, I could never have dreamt that we'd see.
Well, the Greens are celebrating their first ever mayoral wins in what some say is a major shift in British party politics. Is the two-party system coming to an end?
Two-party politics is not just dying, it is dead and it is buried.
There's no doubt the voters have sent us a clear message. I'm very proud of this team. I'm very proud of our leader. I'm very proud to be part of the team here. This is how Labour wins. As Labour, as a team. That's what the Prime Minister will be setting out, I'm sure, on Monday, and he'll have my support.
Well, Operation Save Keir Starmer is a go. That's as some senior Labour figures warn Starmer could destroy the party if he stays on. We'll debate whether he can cling on at 8:20.
A third British national is diagnosed with suspected hantavirus, and passengers on the infected cruise ship prepare to dock in Tenerife under strict isolation rules.
Actor and friend of the show, Christopher Biggins, describes the frightening moment he was trapped inside his electric car after it died without warning on a busy road. We'll be talking to him later in the programme.
Thank you, then, for all that you have done. And on behalf of the whole nation, I wish you a very happy 100th birthday.
And the King hails Sir David Attenborough's lifetime of extraordinary service at an event celebrating his 100th birthday.
There's a front lying across the UK at the moment. Yes, it's bringing some rain, but it's also the boundary between colder air in the north, which is going to plunge its way southwards through the weekend. I'll have more details coming up.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, we've got a clearer picture than we had yesterday morning.
Oh, yes, but, I mean, I was glued. I couldn't believe it, just watching all the results come in, all during the day as well. It got more and more exciting or more and more depressing, depending where you are.
Well, this
and I had
is
a
true.
house divided, actually, at the time, so lots of arguments. I had to keep saying, no, we're not arguing about that.
No, you shouldn't argue about politics.
No. Oh, crumbs.
just
I often say to them,
fiery
hang on a minute.
debate.
Yeah, I sit there in the mornings on GB News, I've been debating absolutely every aspect of it. Don't want that at home, thank you very much.
No, you don't.
Anyway, Richard has been in touch already saying morning to the whole breakfast team, especially Anne and Stephen.
Oh.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you watching.
Yes. Oh, very good. Well, it has been a monumental battering for the Labour Party. The Prime Minister has not, though, backed down.
I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Cabinet ministers are rallying behind Sir Keir Starmer after the election bloodbath, which could leave the Prime Minister facing a leadership crisis.
Reform UK came out on top as the big winners in the local elections, gaining almost 1,500 councillors. Nigel Farage has hailed it an historic shift in British politics.
These are historic vote shifts. You can see seat after seat where the Labour vote share is down 35% and we're up 37%. It's a direct switching of Labour votes to Reform.
And elsewhere, the Green Party received their first directly elected mayor, with Zoe Garbett ousting Labour from the mayoralty in Hackney.
In Wales, Baroness Eleanor Morgan announced she will resign as the leader of Welsh Labour after her party suffered heavy defeats while she lost her seat.
And the Scottish National Party will be the largest party in the Scottish Parliament, but has once again failed to secure a majority.
So, with the local elections wrapping up, sending shockwaves through Westminster and the rest of the UK, is it the end of two-party politics?
Well, joining us to dissect all of that, former Number 10 advisor Oscar Reddrop and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Bill, how do you feel this morning, actually? Must be a bit depressing.
Fairly crap. Yeah, I mean, there's no sugarcoating.
That's honest. My goodness.
There's no sugarcoating it. It was an awful set of election results for the Labour Party. But more broadly than that, it was a real fracturing of our political system, because if you look at the results, yes, Reform are in first place. They're actually down 5% compared to the national vote share they got last year. The Tories, the principal party of opposition, mid-term, with an unpopular Labour government, actually lost over 500 seats. So there is a real fracturing and splintering, but I'm not going to deny there's a real challenge to the Labour Party. Too few people feel that Labour is on their side or is telling a story that relates to their lives.
Whose fault is that?
I think it's the government as a whole, but it's certainly Keir Starmer's responsibility and fault. You know, when I hark back to the government that I was a member of under Tony Blair, every day we were telling a story about what we were doing, how we were doing it, and what the purpose was. And I think that's been lacking from this government. And we saw in the local elections, we're losing support to the Greens, to the left, to Reform, to the right. And it needs to change.
And the problem is no one seems to take responsibility for the failings. I mean, Keir Starmer says he's going to plough on, fight on. It'd be wrong to go at this stage. Yet, fascinatingly, talking to the Defence Secretary yesterday and asked him twice about Rachel Reeves, he dodged it. Should she go? Dodged the question. Now, that is interesting. She's going to be the sacrificial lamb now,
Somebody's head has got to roll, hasn't it?
Well, I don't think Reeves is going to go. If you listen to Keir yesterday, he was taking responsibility for what has happened.
But not going.
Well, no. And look, I don't think now is the time, in the midst of an international crisis, to change Prime Minister. However, I think Keir has got serious problems. He doesn't impose his writ an authority on government, and that has implications for policy and communications.
But has he got a writ? And I mean, does he know what he wants?
Yeah, does he get it?
I think he does, but he doesn't impose that enough. He's bluntly not an experienced politician. You know, he was only elected in 2015. He needs to step up. If he can't improve that situation in the next 6 months, I think there will be a change of Prime Minister.
All right, Oscar. Go on then, what do you think?
Well, look, I think we can break down, is it the end of the two-party system? We can draw conclusions from the local elections. Politics moves incredibly quickly at the moment. So in terms of predicting what happens at the next general election, I think to a degree, like, you can read into these locals, obviously, but because politics moves so quickly, I don't think you could say, well, this is going to repeat itself in, 2029. So in a way, that gives the Labour Party, they should see it as an opportunity. It's not end game just yet. But what I take, and I'm a bit more of a vibes guy in a way, rather than, breaking down seat by seat, what I took the elections as meaning is that this country, and people feel like this country's in the mud, ultimately. And to get out the mud, you need authenticity. You need inspiration, you need imagination, you need clear thinking, you need someone who's able to take decisions, whether they're popular or not, and stick by them. Optimism, hope. None of the words that I have just said you could level at Keir Starmer. He is the opposite of those things. And I think when we've had a lot of commentary about, God, so why is Keir Starmer so unpopular? I don't really understand it. He's our most unpopular Prime Minister we've had in our lifetimes. That seems kind of odd. Like, he seems like well, it's because he's devoid of anything. And actually, I don't like the whole, he seems like a decent guy, but he's not good at politics thing. This is a guy that, and I work for someone, obviously, Boris, who, had his critics, particularly around his character. But Keir Starmer, I think, uniquely shows moral cowardice, and that he will sack and throw people under the bus on every wrong turn he's made whilst he's been Prime Minister. And I think now is the time that he looks people in the eye and goes, I've got no more people to throw under the bus here. It's my responsibility and I've got to go. So I don't see Keir Starmer as this... Isn't it confusing why he's so disliked? I think people see him as that. They see the moral cowardice in which he's led this country.
I mean, yesterday was terrible for Labour. Somebody's head has got to be chopped, doesn't it?
Yeah, and
somebody's got to go.
And it can't be Rachel. I mean, this crazy talk. They're joined at the hip. You know, like if you get rid of Rachel Reeves, he's gone. You know, days later. I do think there is an opportunity for the Labour Party. I really do. I don't think they're dead and buried. I think they have. They have picked someone who, you know, a cardboard box could have won that last general election against the Tories, ultimately. And they have someone who is clearly not a leader. And I think there are leadership qualities amongst people in the Labour Party still. So there is an opportunity for them now. And they should see it as an opportunity. And just lastly, the other side of this I don't understand is the cowardice amongst the backbench, the Cabinet, and still, as we sit here now, the backbench Labour MPs. Like, Labour are not in power that often. You don't get this chance a lot. You know, well, let's get a timetable for his departure. Like, grow up. If you think he's the wrong person for the job, and that's what the country are telling you,
well, anyway,
get rid
if he
of him.
set a timetable for his departure, he would be a lame-duck Prime Minister for that period. I mean, he's either got to be in the job and do something, or let somebody else take over. And who would that be, Bill?
I think that's true. And I said earlier, I think now would not be the time for the change. But he's really got to step up and he's got to make the change and he's got to demonstrate conviction.
But what does step up and make the change mean? What should he do?
He's got to drive his authority through the government. I mean, I'll give a specific example. This government has rescued defence spending from what we inherited, but we need to go further. That decision on an extra commitment for defence expenditure has been sitting in Whitehall for about 6 months now. And, you know, there's a battle going on between the Treasury and other ministers. Keir needs to impose his will and demonstrate how he's going to do it and where the money's going to come from.
But this is the fundamental question. It's, can he impose his will? I mean, it's things like welfare cuts, which, I mean, even the government acknowledged were needed, even though theirs was a measly $5 billion they were proposing, and obviously the Tories and Reform say it needs to be a lot higher. Couldn't even get that through. Can't get it through past his backbenchers.
And if you look at that example, one of the problems with Keir's leadership is he engages on an issue too late. So he should have been at the front of that from the beginning, arguing why the reform was justified and necessary and taking backbenchers with him.
I tell you what strikes me is, I was talking to someone last night who has nothing to do with politics at all, is literally just exactly like one of our viewers and listeners who said, Keir Starmer went into this election, into the general election, saying it's country before party, and he's damaging the country. So why doesn't he go? So he's just putting himself and his party first, and not the country now.
I genuinely don't think that's true. I think Keir has got a view of what needs to happen, but he's not imposing his will, he's not communicating effectively, and I think he's got a test about whether he can do that over the next 6 months, and if not, there will be a change. And I agree with Oscar, it's not irreparable for the Labour Party. I said earlier, we are living in the most fractured political times I have ever known. OK, look at the national protected share of the vote. The Labour Party's on about 17%, same as the Greens, same as the Tories. You only need to increase by about 10%, which is not inconceivable over the next 3 years, reform coming down, and you're absolutely in play for the next general election. Yeah. But there needs to be change, there needs to be conviction and better communications.
I know, Oscar, you said, you know, why haven't the MPs just got a backbone enough to stand up and say it's time to go? I did hear an interesting argument on the show yesterday, which is, well, they're not doing it because they want Andy Burnham.
Yeah.
And so there is an advantage to him staying on until Andy Burnham is back in the Commons, at which point they can pull the trigger.
Well, to your point, then we're at a place of party before country, because people are completely desperate out there. Desperate out there. You know, like bills, food prices, energy bills, the defence and security of this country, illegal immigration. Like, people are desperate out there. And the longer they do that, right, and that's fine if they want to play that game with, you know, waiting on Andy, who, again, I don't quite understand the mythology around him. He's benefited by not having to do Westminster politics, I guess, and it would all come crashing down, I think, just as similarly for him, unfortunately. But the longer they do that, is someone like Nigel Farage, kind of half pains me to say it as a Tory, still very much still a Tory to this day, it will just absolutely, this kind of... And again, people go, oh, well, their vote share's slightly down on last year. It doesn't matter. Like, in terms of momentum, bigger picture, like, Farage will just continue to absolutely eat and eat and eat and ascend. Because actually, ultimately, he embodies the thing that is just so lacking and missing from leadership in this country. Because Farage, basically, right, like, again, pains me to say it a little bit, don't say it with a lot of joy, he's kind of, look, this is what I think about something, this is what I do about it, if you don't like it, you know. And in a way, actually, that's leadership. And you worked for Blair, right? And I watched that 4-parter on Blair quite recently on another channel, which I won't name. But it's remarkable because I despise a lot of Blair's politics, but I see someone who would take a decision.
Except that spin around Nigel Farage is not actually borne out by the reality. You know, yes, he projects that certainty, but actually, if you look at his policy positions, they've zigzagged all over the place. And there is no coherent agenda that he's putting forward. And although he's in the lead at the moment, he's still one of the most divisive politicians in this country. And what I mean by that is, for every one person he attracts, he repels 2 others. And there has been evidence over the recent months in by-elections, and we've seen it to some extent in the local elections, of real tactical voting taking place, where people decide who is the party that is most able to beat reform. In my own former constituency last week of Harlow, I know of Labour voters who voted Tory because they were looking at the local political landscape and they wanted to stop reform.
There'll be a lot of that, won't there? But when asked yesterday, when Farage was asked yesterday if Starmer should stay or go, he said, well, actually, it's in my interest if he stays. There you go.
All right, you two. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you later on.
OK, it's 16 minutes past 6 already. A very happy Saturday to you. Time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Where are you going? My name is James. I'm a priest in the Church of England. What happens to us in life, where we end up after death, is a massive question that we try and wrestle with as humans. In the Bible, Jesus talks about it like this. He says, in my Father's house, there are many rooms, and I'm going ahead to prepare a place for you. And in John 14, he says it more specifically like this. Because his disciple says to him, Thomas says, how will we know where you are going? And how do we know the way? Jesus says to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you know me, you'll know my Father also. How do we understand going from one place to another? Well, here is an example. There is a narrow gate from one field into another field. In order to pass into this field, I must go through the gate. Effectively, what Jesus is saying here is, I am the gate to eternal life. If you're wondering where to go or how to get there, then I take comfort from these words, and perhaps you can too.
I wonder if that's calmed everyone down after all the politics.
I hope so. Right, 18 minutes past 6. Here's the weather with Alex.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. Quite a mixed story weather-wise as we go through this weekend. There will be some rain at times, but also some dry, sunny weather. What we will also see, however, is a drop in our temperatures. But for the time being, there is a front lying across the country. That's bringing quite a bit of cloud and some rain across parts of southern Scotland, northern England, and that's going to edge southwards through the day, bringing some outbreaks of rain to parts of Wales and also the Midlands. Also a few showery outbreaks of rain coming into some southern, southwestern parts, and a few showers across the far north of Scotland. A north-south split with our temperatures, very mild or warm towards the south, temperatures peaking in the low 20s here, much colder than this further north. Some places struggling to get into double digits. And with that colder air, some of those showers coming in from the north as we go through the day, well, they could be a bit wintry, some sleet, some hail, even a bit of snow and growlpool, perhaps even to lower levels. Otherwise, through the end of the day, it's looking largely fine for many across Scotland and also Northern Ireland. Just one or or two spots of rain here and there. Cloudier for parts of northern England, the Midlands and parts of Wales, where we have that front lingering and some further rain as well. Some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest, further east across central eastern parts of England, largely dry through the evening and the start of the night. Then a north-south split again when it comes to cloud amounts overnight. Cloudier towards the south with some rain trying to push in from the south. Clearer skies further north, but some showers here. Where we have those clear skies, it's going to be quite a chilly start to the day tomorrow with some frost in places. Meanwhile, it's milder further south, many places holding up in double figures. Through the day itself, then staying quite cloudy across the southern third of the country. Some rain towards those southern counties. Brighter further north, but across the far north, we do have a weather system making its way through. That's going to bring some persistent and at times heavier rain across northern parts of Scotland later on. For all, it is going to be a chillier day. Temperatures down several degrees on today.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Do stay with us, because still to come, Nigel Farage has hailed it a truly historic day for Reform UK after that surge in the local elections. One of our viewers already been in touch, says Farage has almost done too well in the elections because they are going to be under such scrutiny from now on. Well, we'll talk to a Reform councillor next.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
24 minutes past 6. Well, plenty more fallout from the local elections to discuss.
There really is, as Nigel Farage has hailed it a truly historic day for Reform UK after their surge yesterday in the local elections.
Well, we talked to someone who I think had a pretty successful day yesterday, Reform UK councillor for Wigan Central, Lee Moffat. Good morning to you, Lee.
Morning.
Good morning.
You must be over the moon today, I would imagine. But what is going on? What's the appeal, do you think, of people who voted for you? Why do they want you in?
Well, if I can start by reflecting on the overall results. At the last count, we were up by 1,444 councillors across the UK. The Labour Party was down by roughly 1,380. Conservatives were down by over 551, which is seismic. It's enormous. And it's primarily because people are fed up with the two-party system, quite frankly.
Yes, but being a local councillor, you're in touch with the feelings about local issues. And although some people will have just voted for the party, could be national, could be local, what are the local issues that really are on the doorstep? What's really worrying people?
Well, the cost of living, obviously, is one, and that's such a wide sweeping issue that you could talk about it all day. In my own local council, for example, the debt by the end of this year will be £600 million. So mismanagement in our local council and local councils up and down the country is just out of control. £600 million is a debt that this current council is going to leave for my children, my grandchildren and their grandchildren, yet they just don't seem to care.
That's an unbelievable sum, isn't it? I mean, you just ask, how did that happen?
I sat in the last council budget meeting and I looked around the room. I wasn't planning to speak that evening because it was a fait accompli. But I sat around the room and I watched these people patting each other on the back, telling each other what a great job they were doing, whilst in the same breath increasing the debt to 60% of the annual budget. It was beyond belief.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think this means on a national scale? Because places like Wigan, obviously, I mean, it's Lisa Nandy's constituency, isn't it? At least part of Wigan.
No.
I mean, these are what we would have considered Labour heartlands.
Yeah. Well, this isn't the Labour Party of my dad. This isn't my dad's Labour Party. There are no John Smiths anymore. You know, the Labour Party is still full of, I don't know, people having dinner parties in Islington, telling each other what a great job they've done. Whilst in the meantime, the normal people of the UK, and I can talk specifically about Wigan, are gravitating to a party that is filled with people like themselves, just normal, everyday people. If you'd have told me 2 years ago that I'd be getting involved in politics, and I'd call you a liar. But I've got 5 sons and I've got 2 granddaughters. And I got to the point, as a veteran, I felt something's got to change.
Yes, but that's the problem, isn't it? That, one of our viewers wrote in just about half an hour ago and said, you know, Farage has almost done too well. How, I mean, you must be facing this in Wigan. You've got to actually you've got to fix it, haven't you? You've got to make your local voters feel that Voting Reform UK has actually done something, achieved something. And Nigel Farage has got to achieve that now in all of the councils or the councillors that he's won. Because otherwise we're not going to be impressed enough, are we, to vote in a national general election for him.
I relish the opportunity to make a real change in Wigan. So we still don't have a controlling majority yet in Wigan, but where we can make a massive difference, and this, I was elected only 7 months ago in October in a local by-election. And since then, my vote share has increased from over 1,300 last time to nearly 1,800 this time. And the way that we can make a difference, because we're people of the local community, we're vocational. So we're out doing things that many other local councillors have forgotten about. We're cleaning streets, we're picking litter, we're making a real change by doing the simple things that I think a lot of these people have forgotten about. They're so focused on vanity projects and photo opportunities, they've forgotten to knock on people's doors. They've forgotten to call people and ask, how can I help? What can I do? And that's the difference at the local level.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Lee, it's good to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much indeed. I do think that's interesting, the idea of vanity projects and photo shoots. which is, you know, what you get from a lot of politicians, local and national, rather than just getting on with it. But so if that's a shift in attitude, you've got to see the difference.
You've got to see the potholes being repaired. You've got to, you know, all sorts of things, but. You've got to see it because Farage and Reform UK have done so well. They've got to prove themselves before the next general election.
Yeah, they have. They have.
And they will have everything thrown at them, everything negative you can think of.
Of course they will. I mean, that's the nature of it. Build them up, knock them down. That's Britain for you. Anyway, look, we're going to digest all of that throughout the morning here on Breakfast. But now it's time for the Great British Giveaway and your chance to enjoy a brilliant summer on us with £76,543.21 in cold, hard, tax-free cash. Here's how you enter.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543.21 in cash to spend however you like. That is extra cash that you could use to buy those treats you've always wanted, put a new car on the drive, or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. £76,543.21 is an incredible amount of money, and it could be all yours. For a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh, yes, very good luck. Ever such lots of people getting in touch saying, why are we dissing Reform UK?
What?
We're not.
What are you talking about?
Just asking questions and out of interest. Actually, Andrew has just been in touch saying, I'm in Nottinghamshire and we went to Reform 12 months ago. They've already started to make a difference. The roads are getting repaired properly. It might seem simple, but it's what everybody sees every day.
Well, I mean, it's what you need. I mean, you do need to notice a difference. And this has been the charge against the government, hasn't it, that they've promised change and we haven't had any, or at least not in the right direction.
Yes.
So, no one's being critical of Reform. I mean, they had a sensational day yesterday. Absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
So, but now you win the seats, you've got to start delivering. That's, you know, that's the whole point of it, isn't it? Anyway, more on that still to come. But before that, we're going to be looking at a third Brit who has apparently got hantavirus. Now, linked to a cruise ship outbreak, which that ship's set to dock in Tenerife tomorrow. We'll bring you the latest in a moment.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 24 minutes to 7 and some 22 British passengers and crew on board a ship hit by an outbreak of hantavirus should get to Tenerife tomorrow with the hope of flying back to the UK the same day if test results come back negative.
Tenerife locals, though, you can possibly understand, are reportedly furious, and they're very alarmed over the ship's arrival at all, fearing that serious health risks after the Spanish government agreed with the World Health Organization to let the passengers disembark there.
Let's talk to pharmacist Torrin Govind, who joins us now. I'm slightly confused by this, Torrin, in that we understand that Spanish passengers are going to be quarantined by Spain when they get, because apparently this has got like a 2-week incubation period, and yet British passengers aren't being quarantined and indeed will be flown home on commercial flights, sat next to whoever else is on that flight. So it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
So the incubation period is up to 6 weeks. At the moment, the problem we've had is there were passengers who disembarked before this had become an issue, before we'd known about it. So that was at the island of St Helena on the 24th of April. And now, as you say here, there is the issue of what to do now with the passengers who are remaining on board the cruise ship. And they tried to disembark with the Cape Verde. Cape Verde said no, and that's why they are headed to the Canary Islands. But the Canary Islands, again, there's been some issues there with people obviously not wanting this cruise ship to dock there. So it has been a challenge for the authorities, and the authorities are also trying to trace people who've already left the ship before these viruses were confirmed. And there are six lab confirmed cases now of this Andes strain of hantavirus. So I think it would be safe to say it's a challenge when you're dealing with a cruise ship with people from nationalities all over the world.
But it's going to be a challenge for whatever airlines are going to fly them back to Britain, because I can't understand why you would let them sit next to other people. Maybe they should be isolated in some way on the aircraft.
So what we understand is going to happen is they will get to Spain, where they will be in an isolated area, and then British passengers and crew who aren't displaying any symptoms will be escorted to an airport and given passage back to the UK. I imagine that's going to be safely controlled, but obviously it is a difficulty when you've got people moving. And then when they arrive back in the UK, they are going to have to isolate for 45 days, and they will be being monitored. But I expect that every passenger who is on this cruise, or who has left this cruise now, it's about tracing those people and also then monitoring them for symptoms. And if we just recap the symptoms, they can be sort of flu-like initially. So so a headache, sneezing, that sort of thing very early on. So they'll be wanting to keep an eye on them.
How contagious is it?
It's human-to-human transmission is rare. But with this Andes strain, it has been known that this has occurred before, and that's why we are more concerned with this strain. For the general public, it's not a huge concern, but obviously the problem is the mortality rate for the Andes strain is quite high, and that's why they need to be keeping an eye on these people in particular. But it's close contacts. We're talking really close contacts here. This is not like a COVID situation.
Like sitting next to someone on a plane.
I think it would have to be a bit more, potentially a bit more than that. What we know as well is that when they go on those planes or whatever movement, there will be a level of infection control. And as you understand, even here, when they're dealing with people this, any viruses, there's always protocols in place of what's expected by healthcare professionals as well. I understand as well that for those on the ship, it must be a concern. And I think I keep saying that we need to be thinking as well about their emotional health and mental health to be in such a confined area and have gone from this probably dream cruise to probably a nightmare, I would say.
Do you think that maybe we all have to accept in the modern world where we all expect to go on holidays, down to the Antarctic or whatever, and we're mixing with other people and flying with other people and things, do we have to now accept that these things will happen?
Well, travel health is an area which, we're always educating people on in healthcare. But how this is even transmitted is really rare. Most hantaviruses, as I say, don't pass person to person. It's rare. This is rare, a rare instance. It's usually spread by inhalation of contaminated rodent droppings. I think we have to accept to a level that when we travel, there probably are a few more risks to our health than in our ordinary day-to-day lives. I think some of the risks I see as well are people who forget their medication, or don't forget to think about the other things. It's exciting to book a holiday, but then they forget to book travel insurance and things like that as well. So there's other things to think about when you are travelling.
OK, Torrin, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
I suppose these are the lessons we should have learned from COVID. Are they? I don't know.
I don't know. I'd just be a bit concerned if I was on a plane and these people were getting on it.
But you wouldn't know.
No, I suppose you wouldn't really. Right, we've got the papers heading your way in just a moment with Kevin Schofield and Scarlett Maguire. But first, here's your European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
There's some pretty unsettled weather making its way northeastwards across the southern parts of Europe at the moment. Heavy rain and severe thunderstorms. It's been very wet across areas of Spain and Portugal already this weekend, and there's more of that to come through tomorrow. That rain also pushing into parts of France and further eastwards towards Italy. In some places we're looking at 25 to 50 millimetres of rain in just an hour or so, and then higher rainfall totals through a couple of days. So watch out, could be some disruption.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to
stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
About 15 years ago, when we really wanted to grow the women's game, we were keen to get the men's professional clubs to endorse having a woman's arm, which was great, and it worked. The problem we have now is we are still playing second fiddle and we're piggybacking on the man's game. We can't arrange our own sponsorship deals because they might interfere with those of the main club. We take second-rate time on the timing of the games because obviously the men's game gets first refusal. And let's not forget, when you get Manchester City or Arsenal and the big clubs playing at the main stadiums, they fill those stadiums. So it is time now that we got our own identity.
All right, Peter, I'll hand it over to you. What do you make of it all?
I think it's a feminist money pit with own goal written all over it. As you pointed out in the intro, this stadium's going to cost Brighton £80 million to build. Yet women's football doesn't even break even, let alone make a profit. So where is the money coming from? The male players are having to subsidise it. It's going to be a nightmare financially, but also in terms of consumer demand, there is none. If you look at the average attendance of Brighton women's team at the Super League, the average attendance per game was around 2,300 in a 6,000 capacity venue. So why on earth are they trying to build a venue that's going to see 10,000 people? This is wishful thinking, bordering on delusion.
Yeah, Janie, is it a feminist money pit? Is that what this is?
Absolutely not. You said earlier, Alex, about equality. This is equality at its best.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversations.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
6:46 front pages for you now. The Telegraph says MPs are breaking cover to demand that Keir Starmer quit.
The Guardian lead with dire election results piling pressure on the Prime Minister.
The Sun, meanwhile, is looking at Tess Daly and Vernon Kay. Is it Kay? Is it Kay?
Yeah.
Anyway, apparently this split up.
And the Times front cover is all about Labour's historic battering.
All right, let's go through some of that with Kevin Schofield, political editor at HuffPost UK, and former Labour advisor Scarlett Maguire, who's sobbing into her tea this morning. Scarlett, actually, to be fair, you're not.
I'm not. Look, it was a disaster, and it's absolutely terrible. All these really good people who've lost their positions. I mean, a friend of mine who's a great councillor, she went very late in life, and she decided it was about time she gave something back, and they've ousted her for a Lib Dem, of all people.
Who may also be a very good councillor.
Who may also be a very good councillor. But we did know it was going to happen. I mean, we have known it's going to happen since about November or October. I mean, I'm sure Kevin, who, covers Westminster much more than I do, will not have been surprised either.
No, you're absolutely right. And the story didn't really change all day. I mean, we knew going into it that Labour were going to get hammered. We knew that Reform were going to do well. It was just a question of how badly and how well, And I mean, maybe Labour's expectation management was a little bit better than others because, they had been forecast to lose nearly 2,000 and they only lost 1,300. I mean, still terrible, obviously.
There's still a couple of councils to come in.
Yeah.
So they might hit the 1,500 mark.
Yeah, which is awful. But we kind of knew that was kind of priced in, wasn't it?
Yes, I mean, Peter Kellner, who's an election guru, had done the joy to disappointment, and 1,500 was about where he'd put it, that he thought that then Labour could carry on.
Yeah, I mean, but there's no doubt that it's still it's left Starmer in a very precarious.
Has he got to go, Scarlett?
The problem is who takes over.
Well, this seems to be the argument, doesn't it? That there's not that many people coming forward to say from the Labour Party to say it's time you went, Keir, because they're waiting till Andy Burnham's back in Westminster.
The problem with Andy Burnham is, first of all, the NEC, the National Executive, has to let him stand.
He has to find a seat first.
He has to find a seat, which I think probably won't be that difficult. The NEC has to say yes, which they still... I mean, honestly, you say it's changed. I hear that it hasn't. Then he has to win the seat, right? Mm-hmm. And then he has to get the 81 MPs, and then he has to...
And Nigel Farage said yesterday, show me where there is a safe seat anymore.
Well,
there's no real such thing as a guaranteed
absolutely.
Labour safe seat.
And if he moves outside Manchester, I mean, he really does look like a carpetbagger. And there are still quite a lot of people who go, you know, he didn't have to take the second term as Mayor of Manchester. He could have said, it's time for me to go back to Westminster. I mean, this is quite an ambitious person. I mean, he has twice stood for the leadership. So actually, there are also sort of pros and cons about Andy Burnham. And the other two, Wes Streeting, who really was, I mean, you know, he was absolutely the heir apparent for years and years, no longer. And Angela Rayner
still hasn't sorted the tax affairs out.
No, and her constituency, the local council there, has gone reform.
Yeah.
So that just shows how vulnerable her seat might be in a general election.
So there's real weaknesses for all of them. You know, they've all got issues.
So will Keir Starmer now do a reshuffle? And will that include chopping the head off somebody?
Well, there's certainly speculations, but it's whether he's strong enough to do it, because, you know, reshuffles are really tricky things, you know, because you end up annoying people who you sack or don't promote. And that just stores up more problems for the future. Now, the last reshuffle in September, he did try to move Ed Miliband, and Ed Miliband said no.
Yeah,
he wasn't
absolutely.
He wasn't weak enough to do it. So, you know, you see these stories about, oh, well, will he get rid of Rachel Reeves? I mean, I think that would be the ultimate. I know this is a guy who doesn't think twice about getting rid of people if it's going to be advantageous to him, but to get rid of Rachel Reeves, given how close they've been together, she's been an integral part of the Starmer project since the very beginning, I think that would be huge.
Yeah, but he could easily say, look, we did really badly because of cost of living. That was the problem on the doorstep. It's Rachel Reeves' fault. You know, make her the scapegoat.
Well, yeah, but then again, it just reaffirms the belief that I think a lot of the public have, is that this is a guy who will basically do anything to save his skin. You know, this is a guy who will just sack anyone.
Agree with that?
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, I have a lot of problems with Rachel Reeves because I think that if you look at all the bad policies that we've had to U-turn on, they emanate from the Treasury, and not enough thought was put in. But the other thing about Rachel is the bond markets love her, right? Every time there's a little thing, the bond markets go, oh no, we
no, isn't that just because they don't like instability?
I know, but
they worry, I think, that the next person come in will be a bit more left wing. I mean, the one thing about Rachel is you couldn't accuse her of being left wing. She's very much stuck to her fiscal rules. I know she's put up taxes, but in terms of spending, I think the bond market's like that, and they're worried that.
Well, it's better the devil you know, isn't it? I mean, that's basically what they're saying.
Yeah, no, I know, but it was quite interesting. So when, you know, the time that she had a tear going down her cheek, and people like, I mean, Nigel Farage on this thing said, you know, she should be sacked. Kwasi Kwarteng said she should be sacked. I mean, because I was up against those two, and actually the bond markets went absolutely not. We want her to stay. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I mean, we cannot be ruled by them, but one does have to understand. And I do think that
but see,
people don't like Keir.
I tell you what's interesting is that when you said a lot of these bad policies have come out of number 11, but where's the direction from number 10?
Yeah,
because this is what's lacking, isn't it?
Yeah, and what one is hoping, as always, what one is hoping is that with the demise of Morgan McSweeney, that actually things in number 10 will change, and that will.
But do you think?
Well, you know,
because it's not as though Morgan McSweeney was in and bullying everyone around. He had to be given the leeway to provide policy, rather than the Prime Minister having some idea of his own.
Absolutely. The problem was that Keir outsourced policy because, you know, they said, look, we know how to win an election, we know how to do this. I mean, the Ming Vase strategy was appalling, right? But the Ming Vase strategy was that if you don't say anything and if you don't do anything and you just get the vase, you will win. Well, yeah, they won, and nobody knew what Labour stood for. I mean, that's the blowback now, is what does Keir stand for? And look,
despite having 14 years in opposition to plan.
Yeah.
When I was working with Keir before he became a leader. He was great, and I remember him saying to me, "We can't go back to the way it was." And then I heard him say it on the radio this week, and I thought, yeah, finally he's gone back to doing something. I have no idea what he will do.
Ed Miliband, that's what people seem to think. He's
Never.
the only one left
He
with any
won't.
credibility to be leader.
I think he's utterly brilliant. He will never stand.
We're out of time. Right, thanks both.
Fascinating.
Right, let's have a look at the weather for you.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. Quite a mixed story weather-wise as we go through this weekend. There will be some rain at times, but also some dry, sunny weather. What we will also see, however, is a drop in our temperatures. But for the time being, there is a front lying across the country. That's bringing quite a bit of cloud and some rain across parts of southern Scotland, northern England, and that's going to edge southwards through the day, bringing some outbreaks of rain to parts of Wales and also the Midlands. Also a few showery outbreaks of rain coming into some southern southwestern parts and a few showers across the far north of Scotland. A north-south split with our temperatures, very mild or warm towards the south, temperatures peaking in the low 20s here, much colder than this further north. Some places struggling to get into double digits. And with that colder air, some of those showers coming in from the north as we go through the day, well, they could be a bit wintry, some sleet, some hail, even a bit of snow and graupel, perhaps even to lower levels. Otherwise, through the end of the day, it's looking largely fine for many across Scotland and also Northern Ireland. Just one or two spots of rain here and there. Cloudier for parts of northern England, the Midlands and parts of Wales where we have that front lingering and some further rain as well. Some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest, further east across central eastern parts of England, largely dry through the evening and the start of the night. And then a north-south split again when it comes to cloud amounts overnight. Cloudier towards the south with some rain trying to push in from the south. Clearer skies further north, but some showers here. Where we have those clear skies, it's going to be quite a chilly start to the day tomorrow with some frost in places. Meanwhile, it's milder further south, many places holding up in double figures. Through the day itself, then staying quite cloudy across the southern third of the country. Some rain towards those southern counties. Brighter further north, but across the far north, we do have a weather system making its way through. That's going to bring some persistent and at times heavier rain across northern parts of Scotland later on. For all, it is going to be a chillier day, temperatures down several degrees on today.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to spend however you like. Put a new car on the drive or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. A revolt against Sir Keir Starmer.
Labour MPs and union bosses are openly now calling for the Prime Minister to quit after, of course, the party's worst local election results in history.
I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Well, Labour have lost more than 1,000 councillors and lost power in Wales for the first time since devolution, while the SNP, without a majority, is still in charge in Scotland.
And as support collapses across former heartlands, Reform UK have surged.
We're seeing some truly historic shifts in voting patterns in parts of this country. Things, frankly, I could never have dreamt that we'd see.
Well, across the West Midlands, really, Reform gained big, winning the likes of Walsall Council, Sandwell Council. But here in Birmingham, nobody knows what the future of this council administration is, with votes split across all of the parties.
The Greens are celebrating their first ever mayoral wins in what some say is a major shift in British party politics. But is the two-party system really coming to an end?
Two-party politics is not just dying, it is dead and it is buried.
There's no doubt that the voters have sent us a clear message. I'm very proud of this team, I'm very proud of our leader, I'm very proud to be part of the team here. This is how Labour wins, as Labour, as a team. That's what the Prime Minister will be setting out, I'm sure, on Monday, and he'll have my support.
Well, there you go. Operation Sir Keir Starmer Save Sir Keir Starmer appears to be a go, as some senior Labour figures warn that he could in fact destroy the party if he stays on. We'll debate all of that at 8:20.
And actor and friend of the show, Christopher Biggins, describes the frightening moment that he was actually trapped inside his electric car after it died without warning on a busy road. We'll talk to him a bit later on in the programme.
Thank you, then, for all that you have done. And on behalf of the whole nation, I wish you a very happy 100th birthday.
And the King hails Sir David Attenborough's lifetime of extraordinary service at an event celebrating his 100th birthday.
A very good morning. The EFL has charged Southampton with spying on Middlesbrough before they meet in the Championship playoff semi-finals this afternoon. In the other semi, meanwhile, Hull City were held by Millwall. And it's fight night in Manchester. More later.
There's a front lying across the UK at the moment. Yes, it's bringing some rain, but it's also the boundary between colder air in the north, which is going to plunge its way southwards through the weekend. I'll have more details coming up.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Oh, well, it's all politics this weekend. There's no getting away from it. Where is the country this morning? I mean, certainly it seems like things are starting to slip for the government. I mean, considerably so.
Yeah, although, you know, somebody asked me this morning, what does it really mean for us? If you don't live in a local council that's affected, Will this really make any difference to the government at all?
Yeah, well,
the way they think and what they do?
I don't know. It's a sense that the population is not happy with them because it was a battering, an absolute battering for the Labour Party in that voting on Thursday. But despite all of that, and despite saying he carries the can, the Prime Minister will not back down.
I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Cabinet ministers are apparently rallying behind Sir Keir Starmer, but that could leave the PM facing a leadership crisis. Or will it? Will he cling on?
Well, Reform UK, as you'll know by now, came out as the big winners in the local elections, getting almost 1,500 new councillors. Nigel Farage hailed it as a historic shift in British politics.
These are historic vote shifts. You can see seat after seat where the Labour vote share is down 35% and we're up 37%. It's a direct switching of Labour votes to Reform.
Elsewhere, the Green Party received their first directly elected mayor, with Zoe Garbett ousting Labour from the mayoralty in Hackney.
In Wales, Baroness Eleanor Morgan announced she will resign as leader of the Welsh Labour Party after losing her seat and Welsh Labour losing control there.
Which is historic. And the Scottish National Party will be the largest party in the Scottish Parliament, but has once again failed to secure a majority.
Yeah, what's interesting, Reform second in Wales and joint second with Labour in Scotland. And so that's significant. Anyway, with the local elections wrapping up and sending shockwaves through Westminster and the rest of the UK, is it the end of two-party politics in Britain?
Joining us to dissect all of that, former Number 10 advisor Oscar Reddrop and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Heads have got to roll, haven't they, Bill? But whose?
Well, there clearly needs to be a response. They were awful elections for the Labour Party, but also across the board, there are challenges for all the parties. I said earlier, Farage was down 5% compared to the national vote last year. The Tories, the principal party of opposition, 200 seats behind the Labour Party, hemorrhaging 500 seats. So I think there are challenges across the political spectrum, but certainly for the Labour Party, there needs to be a clearer sense of direction, more delivery and much better communications. And either Keir Starmer needs to deliver that and impose his will on the government, or I think there will be a change of Prime Minister within the next 6 months.
But has he got a will? Does he know what he wants to achieve? Because he hasn't shown that so far.
And I think that's a fair critique. Too often, he's not imposing his vision and will on the government. He does it fitfully, but he needs to do it far more comprehensively, and he needs to be explaining the real purpose and direction of the government much more effectively.
And I know, look, government should be all about, it's all about policy, isn't it? But you also need charisma in all of this, and this is what is lacking. The other parties, including the Conservatives, now do seem to have these sort of more charismatic leaders.
Yeah, and not only is it charisma, but I think charisma is something that you want from leadership during any time. But I think this country needs that more than ever. As I said earlier, this country, people feel desperate. This country feels like it's in the mud, and it needs a leader to kind of reach down and show that inspiration and charisma. And Keir Starmer is entirely devoid of that. There's one thing we haven't quite discussed about the elections, that instead of turning guns on Starmer and the like, but another story that's come out for me, which I've taken a bit of heart from actually, the Greens haven't quite had the night that I think they were expecting, and I think that's down to one thing predominantly, and that is the pretty try not to pull my punch here, the pretty vile anti-Semitism that is within that party. And I think that cut through late in the day, but not too far short before polling day, but that cut through. And I think I've taken a lot of heart from that, because there is a dangerous element within that party. And I think there were pretty reasonable people who would have voted Green, who have started to see that before polling day. And so the Greens haven't quite had the night that I think they were expecting. And that is a big positive for me, personally.
We've got to cut away from you to intercept, but it's ironic, isn't it, you say that when they've got a Jewish leader.
Yeah, but
what does that? No. Anyway, look, we will come back to you two in a moment, but we're just going to break away because we want to talk to the Lib Dem Foreign Affairs spokesperson, Callum Miller, who joins us now. Good morning to you. I mean, look, where were you? 151 seats up in the council elections. So, you know, a positive result for you. But, I mean, it's not where you need to be, is it, at this stage?
Well, thank you very much for having me on. We're very pleased to see Lib Dem support growing across the country. This is the 8th successive round of council elections where the Liberal Democrats have made gains. And whether it's in Portsmouth or in other parts of the country where we've taken control of local authorities like West Surrey, we're really pleased to see more Liberal Democrats representing their area.
Yes, indeed. I mean, how do you feel about how you did? Clearly, well, I mean, we're asking this morning whether or not politics has in fact changed and it's multi-party now. And frankly, to get anything done, many of you, and this will be very true for the Lib Dems, are going to have to work with other parties. How do you feel about the other parties that you may be up against or sitting next to?
Well, of course, in some parts of the country, voters have given Liberal Democrats full control of councils for the first time. But we as a party have worked with other parties in local government. And I think the thing to note is that whereas some parties may have seen their vote share go up this time as parties of protest, I think what you can see from the success of Liberal Democrats is that people recognise that we're a party of local government, where there are Liberal Democrats already in local government, or a new round of MPs from the last general election. We've generally seen voters say, we like what we're getting for the Liberal Democrats and we'd like to see more. Now, where the voters
come on. The sheer hypocrisy of that is outstanding. The Lib Dems over the years have spat their dummy out so many times when they've been called a party of protest, which you've been labelled time and time again. You spit your dummy out and say, no, that is absolutely not the case. You can't then brand other parties that have done particularly well in this election as parties of protest.
Well, I think, you know, let's see. I mean, the point is that we've protested against that because what we've seen is steady growth in support for Liberal Democrats. Those parties that have seen big growth, and I congratulate them on their successes, they will need to prove in their administration of local government and in the actions that they take as parties of government that they can command the respect of the voters and be returned again in the future. And that's what voters are looking for. They're looking for a change from the two old parties who have failed to deliver for this country. And Liberal Democrats have been successful where we've been running against parties up and down the country, whether that's Reform, the Greens, the Conservatives, or the Labour Party. We've made gains against all of them.
We've been talking just now about the importance of a leader with charisma. Have you got the right leader?
Ed Davey presides over a party that has had real electoral success over the last 2 years, not just in the highest number of MPs in 100 years, but also we were the party that won more local election results and by-elections in 2025 than the Conservatives, Labour and Greens combined, and we've had another great night last night. So, you know, this is a leader who people are backing, this is a party that people are backing, and I think we're going in the right direction.
Do you not cringe a little bit, though, Callum? I mean, I have to say I cringed yesterday when, after, you know, what was, you know, admittedly a good night for you, and there he is in a coffee van, waving a cup of coffee about saying, it's time the Prime Minister smelt the coffee. I mean, for heaven's sake, who's telling him to do these things?
Everyone has a different way of getting their message across, and we've wanted to communicate to people the kind of leader that Ed is. He's a normal guy who people relate to. If you look at the leadership polling, you can see that he's actually the leader in many polls who people most trust compared to the other leaders. I don't think we should back away from the kind of person that a leader is. We shouldn't dress them up to be anyone other than they are. And Ed Davey has a human side, which I think people relate to, and it's why he and we as a party have been successful.
I mean, your attitude sort of sounds as though you're saying, actually, this election was good for us. We're quite happy. We don't want to make any changes. We'll just go on being the Lib Dems that we are. And that may be criticised as being complacent, but at the end of the day, it's just not good enough, is it?
Well, I think there's two ways to answer that. The first is that where we have been running local authorities and had many councillors, people have said it's good enough. In fact, they want more of it. if the question is, would we have liked to have more wins across the country? Of course, every political party goes into elections wanting to succeed in every one of its elections. And I know that there are possible councillors up and down the country who would have been great for their areas who sadly were not elected. But if you look at results in Scotland, if you look at results in the south of England and the north of England, you can see that Liberal Democrats have made real gains. And we look forward to continuing to deliver for people in those communities.
OK. Callum Miller, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much indeed. Let's get a little bit of reaction with Oscar and Bill. Oscar?
I mean, look, Ed Davey and the Lib Dems, I think, will truck along and they'll do OK. But I would say that Ed Davey, at the last election, you know, like they won a lot of seats at that last election. Yeah. And I would love to know what they're doing with it and what they've done with it. They're almost a waste of space, in my view. And this whole that, yes, the two-party system's broken down and, you know, people will look for alternatives. You know, I get that. And the Lib Dems have benefited from that. But because of that dynamic that's happening in politics, you know, Reform and the Green Party, and oddly, depressingly from my perspective, the Tory party, in a way, will kind of eat into that alternative vote option. So I think Ed Davey is squandering the MPs that he has in Parliament. And, you know, yeah, the locals are OK for the Lib Dems, but I'd be wanting more from Ed if I was one of those Lib Dem MPs. I'd be wanting more influence in Westminster, because from what I can see, I mean, I couldn't name you one thing the Lib Dems are currently owning as an issue in Parliament.
Bill?
But I don't think they ever have. And I mean, in terms of the reality of the elections yesterday, yeah, the Lib Dems had a modest gain of seats. They actually went back in terms of vote share. So they're certainly not moving forward. But the critique that you put to him, Stephen, about Ed Davey and the stunts, I remember being in this studio during the general election campaign when that critique was coming forward. Actually, it got him visibility. And
he was on the front pages quite a lot.
Absolutely. And the Lib Dems don't have a coherent, serious agenda, but in certain parts of the country, they're seen as the anti-Tory, anti-reform party. And it got them 72 seats at the last general election. I think they'll probably get a bit more than that at the next general election. And my hunch at the moment, if you wanted a prediction of what the outcome of the next general election will be, I think it's probably going to be a hung parliament and a Labour Lib Dem government coming out of it.
Labour Lib Dem?
Wow.
Not Reform Tory?
No, because there's a long way to go. The Labour Party needs to change its direction, much more conviction, much more delivery, much better communications. Either that's through Keir, if he can do it over the next 6 months, if not, a new Prime Minister. But I think an awful lot can change in 3 years.
I mean, but the potential there... No. Oh, go on.
Well, I think that's incredibly wishful thinking. I think you know deep down that Keir, for one, isn't that person who's going to lead that charge. And I also think that if there was to be an alignment, the most natural fit would be a Conservative Reform. I mean, if you actually look at the projections from yesterday, a Tory Reform, in terms of how it would project it, a Tory Reform kind of coalition, if you like, is what would get both parties over the line. And I know Jacob Rees-Mogg talks about it quite a lot. I do feel like there will be a point where putting the country first, if it came to that, where the right should think about uniting on those terms. Obviously, I would love a Tory majority, but then I'll probably end up in a, you know, I think a psychiatric ward for, you know, delusions and seen as a fantasist. But I think that is far more likely, Bill.
But Oscar, with the Tories, the junior partner in that coalition, the Tory party.
They'd have to be.
Well, they'd have to be. They would have to be. But I think people out there, and it's funny, you hear, like, listeners, I'm sure you guys get this a lot, they don't care. As in, like, they just want politicians to do what's right for the country. And actually, I think if push came to shove, you know, the decline that we've seen over the last few years, and it has been perpetuated, in my view, by this Labour government, I think people of the centre, the right, whatever, they'd be like, just make it work. We don't care. Put your party politics to one side.
An element of that, yeah.
You can already hear it in what Kemi Badenoch particularly is saying at the moment. And she's really coming over. I mean, she's really projecting herself well, is she not?
I don't know if I got a few seconds.
Go on, yeah.
I think Kemi Badenoch is, and it's this odd thing about politics, because how the Tory party itself is just in not great shakes. I think Kemi Badenoch is the fastest improving, most impressive politician we have in this country.
I think there's a degree of truth to that, but the Tories got 200 less seats than the Labour Party yesterday.
No, I
take your point about the country is crying out for doing the right thing by the country, by people. There is no consensus amongst the public about what is the right thing and the right direction for the party, for the country, and that's why politics is so fractured and splintered at the moment.
Yeah. All right, you two. Appreciate that. It's fascinating.
The weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. Quite a mixed story weather-wise as we go through this weekend. There will be some rain at times, but also some dry, sunny weather. What we will also see, however, is a drop in our temperatures. But for the time being, there is a front lying across the country. That's bringing quite a bit of cloud and some rain across parts of southern Scotland, northern England, and that's going to edge southwards through the day, bringing some outbreaks of rain to parts of Wales and also the Midlands. Also a few showery outbreaks of rain coming into some southern southwestern parts and a few showers across the far north of Scotland. A north-south split with our temperatures, very mild or warm towards the south, temperatures peaking in the low 20s here, much colder than this further north. Some places struggling to get into double digits. And with that colder air, some of those showers coming in from the north as we go through the day, well, they could be a bit wintry, some sleet, some hail, even a bit of snow and graupel, perhaps even to lower levels. Otherwise, through the end of the day, it's looking largely fine for many across Scotland and also Northern Ireland. Just one or two spots of rain here and there. Cloudier for parts of northern England, the Midlands and parts of Wales where we have that front lingering and some further rain as well. Some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest, further east across central eastern parts of England, largely dry through the evening and the start of the night. And then a north-south split again when it comes to cloud amounts overnight. Cloudier towards the south with some rain trying to push in from the south. Clearer skies further north, but some showers here. Where we have those clear skies, it's going to be quite a chilly start to the day tomorrow with some frost in places. Meanwhile, it's milder further south, many places holding up in double figures. Through the day itself, then staying quite cloudy across the southern third of the country. Some rain towards those southern counties. Brighter further north, but across the far north, we do have a weather system making its way through. That's going to bring some persistent and at times heavier rain across northern parts of the Scotland later on. For all, it is going to be a chillier day, temperatures down several degrees on today.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, still to come, Nigel Farage has hailed it a truly historic day for Reform UK. Well, he would, wouldn't he? Look how well they did in the local elections. We are going to be speaking to Zia Youssef. That's next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
and you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in, Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages. Because the news is going to happen. So get a head start today. Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition. Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, it is 24 minutes past 7 and there is plenty more fallout from the local elections to discuss.
As Nigel Farage has hailed it a truly historic day for Reform UK after their amazing surge in the local elections.
Well, let's talk to someone who's not very, very happy this morning. Zia Youssef, the Home Affairs spokesperson for Reform UK. Zia, good morning to you. Oh, you've got a big smile on your face. Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, it was not only a historic result for Reform UK, but it is. I mean, Nigel Farage was quite right when he said this does shake up the system. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The problem you've got, and we said this after the local elections last time, is you've got to prove yourselves now. You've got more power than ever before.
Look, it's been a historic set of election results once again. A turquoise wave have swept across the Red Wall, for example. This has never happened before in this country's history. So not only has the stranglehold of the two old parties, that failed duopoly of the Tories and Labour, been smashed decisively now, because it's happened 2 years in a row, but an insurgent start-up party demolishing Labour in their heartlands like Wigan and across the Red Wall, and then likewise demolishing the Tories in their heartlands like Essex, where it looks like even Kemi Badenoch is on course to lose her seat based on the results yesterday. So it is a historic set of results. Of course, we relish the chance to take control of more councils, but I would also say, you look at the result in Wales, you look at the result in Scotland. Reform is now the only national party, truly national party, left in the United Kingdom. And I think what you're going to see post these elections is a lot of disenchanted voters in this country who are sick of being let down by the two old parties, seeing there is a real alternative. And Reform has taken a big leap forward in making Nigel Farage our Prime Minister.
But you want to win the next general election, which means that the success you had in this one means more scrutiny. You've got to deliver all over the country because you'll be under such scrutiny.
Yeah, look, we welcome that. Look, the reality is no party, I would argue, has been scrutinised more with what relatively little power it has had than Reform. I mean, it is actually unprecedented for both the government of the day and the kind of, quote, official opposition to both be pointing their guns at us. We get, scrutinised in the media. I have never seen such scrutiny of local government ever before than in Reform councils. But I will say this, I think it is reasonable for people to look at Reform because, look, we have now led north of 250 national opinion polls in a row. The majority of the candidates, the brilliant candidates who stood for us and won yesterday, I was with the ones who won in Essex, and most of them have not been in politics before. And I would argue that is a big strength. Because what it means is they're bringing fresh thinking. They've done real jobs in the real world. They're real people. And I think that's what people need now. We're not going to get a different set of results for the country if we keep voting in people who broke it in the first place. And what we have now in Reform, as I said, is a real alternative. We are the only national party left. The Tories are now no longer a national party, utterly irrelevant in Wales, utterly irrelevant in Scotland, and now irrelevant in large parts of England. And look, Labour, it's going to be very, very interesting to see whether Keir Starmer can indeed cling on. I think it's crystal clear he has become an extraordinary electoral liability for Labour.
I tell you what's interesting, though, Zia. I mean, lots of people messaging in yesterday and today who are saying, quite openly saying that they support reform on our website and saying, we need a general election now. But that, in a way, that's the last thing you want, isn't it? You've got a lot of work to do to be ready for a general election, to get a full team in place, to get all those policies sorted out.
Well, we actually have very detailed plans already, some of which we've already published. I'd argue, again, for a party this far out technically from a general election to have published, our mass deportation plans, already talked about and explained to the public how we would decide where to put even things like the illegal migrant detention centres. I would argue that breaks a lot of norms in politics. I've only been in politics about a couple of years now, and people told me, don't put policies out there too early. We have gone out there and put an awful lot of policies out there already. Look, the reality is this. If you keep changing prime ministers and you don't call a general election, as the Tories learn, what happens is that leader has no mandate from the voters. They have no ability to get their MPs to actually back them. The problem the country has is the calibre of the occupiers of number 10 Downing Street over the last decade have been absolutely shocking. So we are in the situation that we're in. We're going to need a lot more competence in government, and that's what reform is going to bring.
Yeah, and Nigel Farage made it very clear yesterday, did he? It was yesterday. It must have been yesterday. That that the deadline for taking any more people from the Tories is over. That's finished. But he didn't rule out. He didn't rule out Labour. In fact, he made a point of not ruling out Labour. Do you have any more defections possibly coming to you?
Look, I will speak from my personal experience. From interacting with Labour MPs, I can't imagine, I have not met a single one that I would want to touch with a barge pole in terms of joining reform. Look, you've got to have people who are ideologically aligned with us, and you have to have people with the baseline level of competence. Look, I'll keep making this point. Even if Labour changes leader, whatever comes next is actually going to be even worse than Keir Starmer. We're never going to get the country out of the hole that it's currently in and in this perpetual state of decline while we're rotating people like David Lammy and Ed Miliband and Yvette Cooper through the highest offices of the land. It's just not going to happen. And that's why I do think we need a general election.
OK. Zia Youssef, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. I mean...
That's what people, well, certainly our viewers, are yearning for.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's something we will be talking about a bit later, is whether Keir Starmer can just hang on forever.
I mean,
by
literally,
his fingertips.
Well, it will be by his fingertips.
But
we shall see.
I think he will.
But I'll tell you what's interesting is where there were full council elections. There was certainly one in Milton Keynes. There was one in Birmingham, of course. Huge impact on Labour running those, but what it hasn't done is given Reform enough seats to take over, which is interesting. But nevertheless, somewhere like Birmingham, it has been a seismic result. But what's going to happen next? Jack Carson is there for us. Morning, Jack.
Morning to you both. Well, I think that is exactly the question that residents here are asking in this city. Labour won the election in 2022, winning 65 seats. Today, that party is waking up with only 17 on this council. Big gains for the Greens, and particularly in the inner city, the independents. We know the campaigns they run. A lot of independent candidates standing on a pro-Gaza ticket. Of course, that can't rule out the impact of the bin strikes here in this city and the lack of trust with Labour. There's still one more ward to declare. That's the ward of the council leader, John Cotton, but he already conceded that ward and his seat and the election for Labour halfway through yesterday afternoon, telling people that he wants the city now to unify. But who do they unify around? Reform are the largest party, seemingly, and going to be the largest party on this council. The Conservative vote held up pretty strongly across much of the city as well. But the Liberal Democrats have already ruled out any kind of coalition with Reform. So Reform, being the largest party, will have the opportunity to try and run this council. But otherwise, we could end up with this coalition, this rainbow coalition of Greens working with independent candidates or Liberal Democrats. And ultimately, that just leaves this city, and the city, the future of the city, and exactly the direction for this city in doubt. Because, when you've got a coalition, are all those aims, together? And so there's some of the questions that people in Birmingham are waking up and asking themselves this morning with the results of this election in this city.
Yeah, I can imagine that most of the people in Birmingham who haven't had their bins emptied properly for a year or whatever will want, and the bankruptcy problem as well, the enormous debt. I mean, they will need to see something different happening very soon, or they'll get disgruntled with whoever got in.
That is exactly the case. You know, let's not forget that for the last 3 years, Birmingham City Council have had to cut tens of millions of pounds from different services across this city. That, of course, is going to hurt a lot of the areas. So it's no doubt in certain areas, you know, Labour were not able to hold up their vote when maybe people that rely on those children's care services and those youth clubs maybe in some of the cities saw them care sector, which so many people in the city, you know, have told us and protested about over the past few years that they rely on. They were never going to keep voting Labour when they'd seen that be cut. So it was always going to be a difficult job for Labour to try and even become the opposition and keep enough seats in this city. But whoever takes control of this council, you know, they've only just recently declared that actually they are no longer bankrupt and they can balance the books. But they've still got an IT system that the last council brought in that was £100 million over budget. That's a lot of managing of the finances still to do. And that's why really you need some kind of, you know, agreement between parties to be able to ensure that direction, you know, can be stable and secure for the next few years for this city.
All right, Jack. Thanks very much indeed. Right, let's very quickly get you to our giveaway, should we, where you could win an awful lot of cash. Here's how you enter.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. What would you spend it on? Treat the family and friends to the ultimate summer party, or just relax with enough cash in the bank to make this year your best yet. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny. So, what are you waiting for? For a chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Very, very nice.
Whoever you are, we envy you.
Right, still to come, we're going to tell you about a spying scandal engulfing English football. We'll get the details with Aidan in a moment.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice
first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB Newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Time for the sport. Aidan's here, and there's quite a scandal.
Espionage.
Yes, espionage. What's
Would
going
you call
on?
it that? I think you will, wouldn't you? This is extraordinary. I shouldn't laugh, but I love this story. This is about Middlesbrough and Southampton, who are playing today in the playoff semi-final in the Championships. The EFL last night charged Southampton Football Club with spying. So Middlesbrough train at Rockcliffe Hall, up in near Darlington. Big training base there. Rockcliffe Hall is a public space. It's a place you can check into and have a holiday for, and it's a spa, that kind of thing, booking for a nice weekend. So it's not as closed and private as some training headquarters, but it appears that somebody representing Southampton has entered the property and they've been spotted with a phone filming the training session. Middlesbrough are going as far as to say that they were actually holding the camera up live to Southampton down on the south coast, and they were viewing the training session. And that's important because the training session is where you can see formations, you can see team shape, you can see pattern of play, you can deduce quite a lot ahead of a match, which is happening today at 12:30. And quite extraordinarily, they've taken the move, the EFL, of charging Southampton with a breach.
If it's a public area...
Yeah. Surely.
Yeah, but it's still there are rules governing this kind of behaviour, and it goes back to 2019, which I'll explain in a moment. But EFL Regulation 3.4 requires clubs to act towards each other with the utmost good faith, and EFL Regulation 127 prohibits any club from observing or attempting to observe another club's training session within 72 hours of a scheduled match between the two clubs. Now, in 2019, same stage of the competition, it was a playoff semi-final. Leeds United were accused of spying on Derby County. Now, the distance between the two clubs there, not quite as far, but Leeds United were eventually fined £200,000 for it. Their manager, Marcelo Bielsa, then gave an interview a couple of years later in Argentina and said, I don't know what all the fuss was about. We spied on every single club we played that season. So that was extraordinary. But 200 grand in the context of Southampton making it through to Wembley, then making it through to the playoffs, this could be worth 150 million, up to 200 million pounds to them. It's absolutely extraordinary that they'd even... it's an obvious risk to take. I mean, if the fine is going to be £200,000, I think you're going to do it, aren't you?
Well, in football terms, yes. But you think nowadays, if you know where somebody's training, you could just send up a drone with a camera.
That's what happened. That's what happened at the 2024 Olympics. I think Canada were accused of the Canadian women's team were accused of spying, and they all get charged, they all get fined. But if you win the game, who cares?
Gosh.
So much for sportsmanship.
Well, I don't know. You're looking for... It's called competitive advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd sort of agree, really. I would.
You agree, you'd do it as well.
Yeah,
you're a gadget man, so you've probably got a drone anyway, haven't you?
I would. I'd send it all up, get all the info. Why not? All right, Aidan, we'll have to leave it there for now, but more from you a little bit later.
Talking of drones, did you see in the news that they were saying that first Amazon parcel was delivered by drone, and there's a picture of it, and the drone just drops this box on the pavement.
From 12 feet?
Yeah.
But maybe it knows what's in it. It's OK. Different if it's eggs compared to something else.
Well, it could have been anything.
Anyway, right. We've got the papers in just a moment with Kevin and Scarlett, but first, here's your European forecast.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
There's some pretty unsettled weather making its way northeastwards across the southern parts of Europe at the moment. Heavy rain and severe thunderstorms. It's been very wet across areas of Spain and Portugal already this weekend, and there's more of that to come through tomorrow. That rain also pushing into parts of France and further eastwards towards Italy. In some places we're looking at 25 to 50 millimetres of rain in just an hour or so, and then higher rainfall totals through a couple of days. So watch out, could be some disruption.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
He was born in Stratford-upon-Avon in 1564 into a prosperous family and moved to London sometime in the late 1500s. The bard wrote 38 plays, 2 narrative poems and 154 sonnets. Speaking to GB News in 2025, director at the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust Professor Charlotte Scott said the success of Shakespeare across the globe has helped to extend his influence.
We feel very passionately and proudly about Shakespeare's works and the way in which they have become significant across the globe in different ways. And Shakespeare is, of course, constantly being reinvented through adaptation and theatre. And that's wonderful because that allows us to return to Shakespeare as a kind of agile source for further creativity.
Credited with over 1,700 words in the English language, his influence creeps into every part of our lives, and his works are still recited to the masses.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more. Or at least it's something like that.
462 years on since his birth, how do people in his hometown of Stratford view Britain's most famous playwright?
I just think it's really important still to learn about him, because you never stop learning about him, do you? There's so much to take in about him.
I think it's useful to learn about. I think it's more interesting for adults to learn about than children, to be honest, because we learn more when we're actually interested in it.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Time for the papers at 7:46.
We've already disagreed.
Controversial already. Kevin Schofield and Scarlett Maguire, good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Kick off, Kevin, with Labour's historic battering in the Times.
Yeah, absolutely historic battering. I think the total's still going up of their losses. It's over 1,400 now, with probably a little bit more to come. And I know the big question, obviously, is, will the Prime Minister survive, or if he does, for how much longer? More cabinet members, I think, are coming out supporting them. But,
the kiss of death?
Well, it could well be. I mean, they've kind of got to, really. But Labour MPs, I think, will keep coming. There'll be a drip of Labour MPs who are very unhappy calling on, at least to set a timetable.
But what's interesting is it's the usual suspects. Is that we haven't had somebody breaking cover and going, he has to go. I mean, obviously, it isn't working. the results are partly about him. They're not about bad Labour councils. I mean, nobody's pretending that. They're actually people who are very, very angry with him.
And just don't like him.
Yeah, don't like him. And, you know, is it possible to turn it around when you've got minus 42? I mean, all the others are in the minus, you know, Nigel Farage, Kemi, Polanski, they're all sort of minus 10, 15, and then suddenly, whoops, minus 42. I mean, somebody once said, well, it's true. I mean, he's on a level with Hamas.
What?
What?
Yeah. And I said this to another political editor who went, well, I think that's just because, you know, these left-wingers like Hamas. And I went, no, it's because he is unpopular, honestly.
And I just think there's any coming back from that. It's not as if he's going to, you know, the public are going to wake up one morning and think, actually, you know what, let's give this guy another chance. I think the public have long since made up their mind, and Labour MPs need to, or cabinet ministers really have to kind of wrestle with their conscience as to how long they can let it keep going.
The problem is there isn't an obvious way out. That is, it's you know, when people decided they didn't like Tony Blair, there was always Gordon Brown. There were other people who felt they should be there, but there was Gordon. And now, you know, you look at the three who are vying for it. Andy Burnham, who's not even in Parliament, and Angela Rayner, you know, who was found drunk last week, and Wes Streeting, who's been on manoeuvres for the whole of his life.
Allegedly there, or is it so accepted?
I don't know.
It's been reported, certainly, that she was drunk in the Strangers' Bar.
Yes.
And,
by many people who saw her.
Others who were there also say they saw her and she was fine.
Yeah.
I've just
I don't know if she...
that in.
I don't know if... yeah.
But the main thing is, I mean, if you're talking about her being a possible leader, she knows, and we all know now, that particular constituency she holds is incredibly vulnerable.
Tameside, in
fact, the council went reform.
Well,
in her area.
But Wes Streeting is the same.
Wafer thin majority.
Wafer thin majority. And Andy Burnham hasn't even got a seat yet.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is a serious.
In the Northwest last night, they weren't great either. One Labour MP said to me, you can forget Labour MPs want to go out and campaign in a by-election for Andy Burnham right now in the Northwest, because, you know, they've just come off a battering and they've been getting hammered on the doorstep.
Whenever we refer to Andy Burnham as King of the North, and we're not calling him that ourselves, we're just, quoting others, we get a barrage of people writing in saying he's certainly not that to us. We don't like him.
And particularly the North East. I mean, obviously, there's the northeast, northwest, but I mean, the northeast do not see him as their person. So I think it's very, very difficult for Labour. I mean, to work out, and the last thing we need where we're in a dire economic situation is a long, I mean, remember what happened when Boris Johnson suddenly went, and then all over the summer. There was chaos.
It's interesting. On Manchester Evening News today, a big picture of Andy Burnham on the front cover. The answer to Labour's problems is not in Westminster or around the cabinet table. It's in Manchester. But does that mean they want to get rid of him?
Yeah, it must do. Can I change the subject to something happy and nice, cuddly and warm? It's the fact that David Attenborough was 100 yesterday, which. Just on that alone is absolutely brilliant, because there he was at this concert last night, very happy, totally fit and able, and not looking 100 at all.
Well, I mean, to be able to be physically able and mentally able is quite incredible at 100
as well. I mean,
yes,
we're still, as a family, we love watching the Secret Garden. I don't know if you've seen that. He's done this thing on the ecosystem.
You're so wholesome.
We eat our homemade bread.
I was watching one of the ones about penguins that he did yesterday. That's absolutely beautiful. The lovely thing is that Buckingham Palace had this idea that they would have the King write him, the congratulations on being 100 card. But they did it in a very special way. Would you like to see the video again? This is just so lovely about how animals helped get that card to David Attenborough.
Thank you, then, for all that you have done. And on behalf of the whole nation, I wish you a very happy 100th birthday.
Yeah, it's a nice little idea.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, you're right. I mean, for €100, I don't want to live to 100, but if I was going to look like that, I'd be quite happy to live to 100.
Yeah.
What's he taking? We want it.
I know. No, it's quite incredible, isn't it?
And he's a genuine national treasure, isn't he? And we've got too few of those these days, but he's definitely. Well, everyone who watches these programmes, you know.
Absolutely, and it's sort of it's across the age groups, across politics. I mean, it's just, and he does, you know, he really cares about nature. Yes. I mean, he is absolutely unequivocal that we've got to save nature, that there is a climate crisis. I mean, you know, he does actually come out and say the stuff. He isn't just a sort of aren't animals nice.
Amazing documentaries.
Animals
will always be there.
They are lovely,
won't they? They are the very basis of our knowledge about nature.
Absolutely. Right, you two. We shall see you a little bit later on. Thanks very much indeed.
Time for the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. Quite a mixed story weather-wise as we go through this weekend. There will be some rain at times, but also some dry, sunny weather. What we will also see, however, is a drop in our temperatures. But for the time being, there is a front lying across the country. That's bringing quite a bit of cloud and some rain across parts of southern Scotland, northern England, and that's going to edge southwards through the day, bringing some outbreaks of rain to parts of Wales and also the Midlands. Also a few showery outbreaks of rain coming into some southern, southwestern parts, and a few showers across the far north of Scotland. A north-south split with our temperatures, very mild or warm towards the south, temperatures peaking in the low 20s here, much colder than this further north. Some places struggling to get into double digits. And with that colder air, some of those showers coming in from the north as we go through the day, well, they could be a bit wintry, some sleet, some hail, even a bit of snow and graupel, perhaps even to lower levels. Otherwise, through the end of the day, it's looking largely fine for many across Scotland and also Northern Ireland. Just one or two spots of rain here and there. Cloudier for parts of northern England, the Midlands and parts of Wales, where we have that front lingering, and some further rain as well. Some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest, further east across central eastern parts of England, largely dry through the evening and the start of the night. Then a north-south split again when it comes to cloud amounts overnight. Cloudier towards the south with some rain trying to push in from the south. Clearer skies further north, but some showers here. Where we have those clear skies, it's going to be quite a chilly start to the day tomorrow with some frost in places. Meanwhile, it's milder further south, many places holding up in double figures. Through the day itself, then staying quite cloudy across the southern third of the country. Some rain towards those southern counties. Brighter further north, but across the far north, we do have a weather system making its way through. That's going to bring some persistent and at times heavier rain across northern parts of the Scotland later on. For all, it is going to be a chillier day, temperatures down several degrees on today.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Is there a revolt against Sir Keir Starmer?
Labour MPs and union bosses are openly calling for the Prime Minister to quit after the party's worst local election results in history.
I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Well, Labour have lost nearly 1,500 councillors and lost power in Wales for the first time since devolution, while the SNP managed to hang on in Scotland.
And as support collapses across former heartlands, Reform UK have surged.
We're seeing some truly historic shifts in voting patterns in parts of this country. Things, frankly, I could never have dreamt that we'd see.
Well, Nigel Farage's party win big in the West Midlands. They are the largest party as well in Birmingham, but with a difficult path to power, will they be able to control this council? I'll have all the details.
Well, the Greens are celebrating their first ever mayoral wins in what some say is a major shift in British party politics. Is it really the end of the two-party system?
Yes, with Labour losing to everyone, everywhere, and the Tories doing not much better, people are talking about the end of the two-party system. But can it follow through in a general election? Find out more with me very soon.
There's no doubt that the voters have sent us a clear message. I'm very proud of this team. I'm very proud of our leader. I'm very proud to be part of the team here. This is how Labour wins. As Labour, as a team. That's what the Prime Minister will be setting out, I'm sure, on Monday, and he'll have my support.
Well, you heard, maybe Operation Save Keir Starmer is a go. But it is, as some senior Labour figures warn, Starmer could destroy the party if he stays on. We'll be debating that. Can he cling on? A bit later.
Actor and friend of the show, Christopher Biggins, has described a frightening moment when he was trapped inside his electric car because it died without warning on a busy road. Scary stuff. We'll chat to him at 9:20.
The EFL has charged Southampton Football Club with spying on Middlesbrough before they meet in the Championship playoff semi-finals this afternoon. And it's fight night as Manchester hosts Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley will be talking to Frank Warren later this hour.
There's a front lying across the UK at the moment. Yes, it's bringing some rain, but it's also the boundary between colder air in the north, which is going to plunge its way southwards through the weekend. I'll have more details coming up.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Right, let's crack straight on with the politics because we've got a guest standing by. And after a monumental battering for the Labour Party, the Prime Minister is not backing down.
I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Cabinet ministers are rallying behind Sir Keir Starmer, as you might expect at the moment, after that election bloodbath. It could leave him facing a leadership crisis.
Well, as we know, Reform UK came out on top. They were the big winners, gaining almost 1,500 councillors. Nigel Farage has called it an historic shift in British politics.
These are historic vote shifts. You can see seat after seat where the Labour vote share is down 35% and we're up 37%. It's a direct switching of Labour votes to Reform.
Elsewhere, the Green Party received their first directly elected mayor, with Zoe Garbett ousting Labour from the mayoralty in Hackney.
In Wales, Eluned Morgan has resigned as leader of the Welsh Labour Party. She lost her seat and they lost power.
And the Scottish National Party will be the largest party in the Scottish Parliament, but has once again failed to secure a majority.
Well, heck, what is going on? I mean, it has sent shockwaves through Westminster, through the country. Is two-party politics, as we know it, well and truly over?
Well, Conservative Party Chair Kevin Hollinrake joins us now. Let's ask him. A very good morning. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I mean,
good morning.
You didn't do well enough to be that monumental party, did you? So maybe our politics is fractured more than ever before, and you're just part of that fracture.
Well, definitely, it is a very fragmented picture right now. You're right to say that. And we weren't the winners yesterday. Reform were definitely the winners. And can I say just congratulations to all the successful candidates and commiserations to all those who didn't get there. I lost some very good Conservative councillors, and you know, we wish them well, and we want to come back from this, and we think we can. Behind the headlines, there was some much better news for the Conservatives, actually. If you look at the national vote share, this time last year, in the local elections, Reform got 32% of the vote. This year, they got 27% of the vote. This time last year, we got 15% of the vote. And this year, we got 20% of the vote. So we've narrowed the gap. We're more than halved the gap over that period of time. And interesting, your clip earlier about Nigel Farage saying people are switching in parts of the country. And I think that's right. Because if you look at places like Bexley or Bromley or Harrow or Wandsworth or Westminster or Solihull or Peterborough or Leeds or Keighley, it's much more mixed. So lots of those Labour voters came to us and we retained or held our own in terms of those particular councils. So it is very mixed. We're still in the game and we're keen to build on what we did yesterday.
But it's interesting that Reform are saying, and they've got a point now, haven't they, that they are the only truly national party in British politics. I mean, 1,444 seats that they won yesterday, up 1,442. You're down 500 and odd. They're second in Scotland. They're second in Wales. I mean, they're doing things that you haven't been able to do in decades.
No, there's no doubt they cut through in parts of the country, but Nigel Farage said himself in that clip you just played, it's parts of the country. There's virtually no representation in London, for example, and parts of the southeast, or much lower representation, and in parts of the north. In Leeds, we held all our seats in Leeds. We did well in Solihull, as I said, in Peterborough. So it is a mixed picture. We've got a lot of work to do. We've still got decent representation in Wales and Scotland, and we're keen to build on that. But we know we have a lot of work to do, but we've halved that gap in the polls over the last 12 months.
Well,
we have the most popular leader in the country.
You've got seven seats in Wales compared to Reform's 34. I mean, you are joint second in Scotland, but nevertheless, I mean, you've got to talk straight with the British public who are watching and listening to you right now, don't you?
I'm giving you all the
Stephen. All right, I know Kemi Badenoch is polling quite well on a personal level, but for whatever reason, something isn't cutting through. The public still don't trust you enough, at least.
I agree with that. they need to trust us more, but we are rebuilding that trust. As you acknowledge, Kemi Badenoch is not she's doing better. She's the most popular leader, most approved of leader of all the political parties. And we have halved that gap. We are rebuilding that trust. We're coming from a long way back. We did many good things in 14 years, but we should hold our hands up and say we made some mistakes. That's a reality. We need to get people to trust us again, but they are increasingly doing so. So whether it be in the polls, in terms of what people think about Kemi, or whether it be on the doorstep, we know increasingly we're getting that hearing again. The other thing that's going to happen with all this as well, of course, it's one thing standing on the sidelines and saying you're going to run things better, but you look at the councils that Reform now run. If you look at Worcester, where they put up council tax by 9%, having said on their leaflets they're going to cut taxes. If you look at Kent, which is a complete mess, or Staffordshire, or the fact that they've lost 1 in 10 of their councillors since being elected last year. It's a very high attrition rate. All is not well in Reform when you look under the surface, but we know we've got much more work to do before people will trust us again to run the country, but I think we can do that by 2029.
What do you think Keir Starmer should do? I mean, it might be very easy for you to stand there as an opposition and say he should resign, but is it better for you that he actually clings on in there, stays there, because he is actually the most unpopular Prime Minister ever?
Yeah, I understand why as well. His judgment's terrible, but all we can do, the official opposition, all we can do is hold him to account, as we have done for Peter Mandelson, we have done in terms of the winter fuel allowance, as we have done in terms of things like the family farm tax or the Chagos Islands. We have brought about those U-turns on every occasion. That's our job, to try and make sure that this government governs in the interests of the country and makes good decisions. That's not easy with Keir Starmer, because I think his judgment is well off on many occasions, but who the Labour Party decide to have as their leader is not a matter for me, it's a matter for them.
OK. Kevin Hollinrake, appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you
very much indeed. Let's talk to our political correspondent, Olivia Utley, who's in the studio. I mean, it's interesting that the Tories are being a bit more conciliatory in all of this. Reform has done very well. They've done very well, acknowledging all of that. I mean, they're trying to claw back on 1 or 2 of the statistics, but it doesn't really wash, does it?
No, it doesn't. I was interviewing Nigel Farage last night, and I asked him whether he would rule out a coalition with the Conservatives after the next election. He said he didn't want to do it, but he wouldn't absolutely rule it out. He wouldn't rule out going to the moon, etc., etc. But you do have to wonder if after the election there might be some movement between those two parties. Based on what happened yesterday, polling predictions suggest that if there was to be a general election tomorrow, Reform would be the largest party in a hung parliament, and in that situation you could end up with the Conservatives as kingmakers. I did think it was interesting last night and yesterday. The Conservatives did badly, but there were some areas where they did seem to be beginning to claw things back.
Westminster they gained.
Westminster they gained. Wandsworth they basically gained. There's one independent councillor who used to be a Conservative. Presumably he'll make a deal and the Conservatives will win that council. Bexley, some of these London boroughs, making a little bit of a showing in London. That's also very interesting because we're going to have a London mayoral election quite soon. I expect the Conservatives are now thinking that they stand a bit of a chance. As for Labour, it was as catastrophic as the most depressing predictions for Labour suggested. Nearly 1,500 seats lost. In Wales, they were decimated. They won just 9 of the 96 seats. In Scotland, they're in joint second place with Reform, so we don't yet know who the leader of the opposition in Scotland is going to be. It's such a strange position that the Labour Party finds itself in now, because there are about 20 backbench MPs who have now called for Keir Starmer to go. This is a coordinated attack. It's not random MPs. Poll just released for The Guardian now suggests nearly half of members want Keir Starmer to go. That's more than want him to stay. There is a few undecided there. So there is a huge, huge body of people within the Labour Party who want him to go. Cabinet ministers, whatever they might be saying on social media, clearly don't think he's the right man to be leading the party. But none of them want to go first, put their heads above the parapet and be the one to stick the knife in. So
why has nobody got the bottle?
It's fascinating, isn't it? What it seems to be is that historically, the person who sticks the knife in the leader doesn't actually tend to win the leadership election. You've then got the added complications of, obviously, Andy Burnham doesn't yet have a seat in Westminster, and the route back to a seat in Westminster looks quite difficult, given that Labour were decimated in Greater Manchester last night. Reform were the huge winners in Greater Manchester. Could there even be a safe seat for Andy Burnham to win? Then you've got Angela Rayner. We are expecting her to make some sort of intervention over this weekend. She won't probably call for Keir Starmer to go because she's still got unsorted tax affairs. Wes Streeting's the only one who might do it, but last night he pledged his support to Keir Starmer again. So we're in a strange state of paralysis.
But it's interesting. We didn't have, I don't think, everyone, the Cabinet were all tweeting, we've shown some of them on screen, we support Keir Starmer, but not from Wes Streeting. Not from Ed Miliband, not from Yvette Cooper.
No, and Ed Miliband did tweet, and it fell short of actually putting his support in Keir Starmer. And there are these fascinating reports in The Times that a couple of weeks ago, Ed Miliband actually told Keir Starmer that he needed to lay out a timetable for his removal. The problem is Ed Miliband is an Andy Burnham backer, and all of these people, they kind of need Keir Starmer to stay for the moment while Andy Burnham finds that route back to Westminster. So again, just paralysed for now while we wait for someone to move, something to happen. Andy Burnham maybe to regain that seat. A lot rests on Keir Starmer's speech on Monday as well, his big reset speech. A lot of MPs are waiting to see how can that possibly live up to what they're expecting. I wouldn't fancy being Keir Starmer standing up for that speech.
No.
Wouldn't fancy being his speechwriter. Can't think of what he would say.
No.
Other than sorry.
All right, Olivia, thank you very much indeed. Birmingham's a big story, isn't it?
Birmingham's a huge story because Reform have now gained a large section of the council seats, haven't they?
Yeah, biggest party, I think.
Yeah, biggest party, but actually not overall control. Jack Carson is in Birmingham. He can explain.
Well, I can attempt to explain to both of you this morning because I think nobody really knows exactly how this next administration on Birmingham City Council is going to be formed. You're right to say that Reform are the largest party with 22 out of the 101 seats, so nowhere near really that 51 majority they would need. Even if they were to go into some kind of coalition with the Conservatives, that would only add another 16 seats to their 22 so far. There is one more ward to declare. That is the ward of the council leader, John Cotton, but he conceded his own seat yesterday afternoon, conceded the election for Labour, and on outgoing and speaking to us, he called for unity to build on the foundations that he says he's built over the past few years, building this city back from bankruptcy in 2023. And he said it was a disappointing factor for him that he wasn't able to reach a deal on the bin strikes sooner. Of course, that has been one of the biggest issues for people on the doorstep here. The fact that in over a year people haven't had any recycling collected. The council have been spending millions on using companies from the wider West Midlands, a waste collection service in Coventry, at times having to come and actually collect people's waste and rubbish because of that ongoing bin strike. 10 days out from the election, Labour almost had one last throw at the dice of it here in the city, claiming that they'd negotiated a deal with Unite to be able to end the bin strikes, that if people voted Labour, they could end them in the weeks after the election and get the waste collection service back up and running. But people just essentially had lost that trust, and that outgoing Labour councillors yesterday, said very clearly that the bin strikes was the main issue for them coming up on the door as to why people weren't going to vote Labour. But interestingly, politically, we've seen big rises for Greens. When you look around where they're winning those seats, very also studenty areas that they're winning those seats, parts of the inner city, independents doing incredibly well, as we had an indication that they would do in some of the more kind of populated inner city areas, where really those independent candidates running on a pro-Gaza ticket and the bin strikes combined, meaning independents have won around 13 seats so far on this council, could possibly win one more in that 2 council award that John Cotton has already conceded. So Reform might be the biggest party here in Birmingham, but going forward over the next few weeks, well, they'll have the opportunity to try and form an administration, but we could end up with some kind of rainbow coalition and uncertainty in Birmingham for years to come.
OK. Jack, thank you very much indeed.
That's all they need is uncertainty in Birmingham, isn't it?
Yeah.
They need decisive action.
I think they do there, don't they? Right, should we have a look at the weather forecast for you. Here's Alex.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. Quite a mixed story weather-wise as we go through this weekend. There will be some rain at times, but also some dry, sunny weather. What we will also see, however, is a drop in our temperatures. But for the time being, there is a front lying across the country. That's bringing quite a bit of cloud and some rain across parts of southern Scotland, northern England, and that's going to edge southwards through the day, bringing some outbreaks of rain to parts of Wales and also the Midlands. Also a few showery outbreaks of rain coming into some southern southwestern parts and a few showers across the far north of Scotland. A north-south split with our temperatures, very mild or warm towards the south, temperatures peaking in the low 20s here, much colder than this further north. Some places struggling to get into double digits. And with that colder air, some of those showers coming in from the north as we go through the day, well, they could be a bit wintry, some sleet, some hail, even a bit of snow and graupel, perhaps even to lower levels. Otherwise, through the end of the day, it's looking largely fine for many across Scotland and also Northern Ireland. Just one or two spots of rain here and there. Cloudier for parts of northern England, the Midlands and parts of Wales where we have that front lingering and some further rain as well. Some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest, further east across central eastern parts of England, largely dry through the evening and the start of the night. Then a north-south split again when it comes to cloud amounts overnight. Cloudier towards the south with some rain trying to push in from the south. Clearer skies further north, but some showers here. Where we have those clear skies, it's going to be quite a chilly start to the day tomorrow with some frost in places. Meanwhile, it's milder further south, many places holding up in double figures. Through the day itself, then staying quite cloudy across the southern third of the country. Some rain towards those southern counties. Brighter further north, but across the far north, we do have a weather system making its way through. That's going to bring some persistent and at times heavier rain across northern parts of the Scotland later on. For all, it is going to be a chillier day, temperatures down several degrees on today.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there. Yes, it's 8:20. Still to come, we are going to be debating, can Sir Keir Starmer hang on in there forever, maybe? Literally, can he cling on? We'll be debating that in just a couple of moments.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's coming up to 8:24 and Labour MPs, well, 20 of them so far, calling on Sir Keir Starmer to call it quits following that historic local election loss.
Now that the party has lost 1,300 councillors and their footing, of course, in traditional heartlands that they controlled for a century, we're asking, can the Prime Minister just sort of cling on forever?
Let's talk to former Labour councillor Simon Greaves and former Labour MP Graham Jones. Simon, let's start with you. I mean, he looks like a dead man walking, really. Can he really cling on?
I think Keir Starmer can, and that is not going to be pretty, but certainly there's no great clamour of people knocking on the door to replace him, certainly not openly. We've heard all the background briefings for months on end, but the Prime Minister is still there. He's made it clear he wishes to continue. And all eyes on those that...
I think he may be gone by Monday. I think the political inevitability is there. If he doesn't, then I think it just gets worse. I think the public are very, very clear. I've been out campaigning. They don't want him, and that's universal. It's not just me saying that. It comes from every corner of the UK. I mean, I've known Keir for a long time. It's always been my view that he didn't have the qualities to be Prime Minister, and they're self-evidently on display. So the Labour Party has to look to the future. No one person's bigger than the party, and Keir Starmer needs to set out a timetable to go, and I think he needs to do that immediately.
Well, that's a fair point, Simon, isn't it? No one person is bigger than the party. And certainly for these elections, for a lot of it at least, it's been voted along on party lines rather than sort of local councillor performance.
Well, the elections have been turned into a national referendum, and in that respect, the government and Keir Starmer have been badly behind the curve in terms of what the election is framed on and what the issues really are. But to replace, for the Prime Minister to set out a timeline is walking into a huge trap. And it seems that many MPs are very keen to open that door, which will be a gift to the likes of the Conservatives and Nigel Farage and Reform. I don't quite see how the Labour Party really think that the future involves opening the door to complete mayhem over the summer period. Meanwhile, we have another set of elections in 12 months' time. Those might as well be next week, because they've got to be equally terrible if the party doesn't make a real change here.
Yeah, but then you're left with a sort of dead duck Prime Minister, aren't you, for for the next 12 months?
No. If the Prime Minister's serious, then there's going to have to be a damn sight more than a speech on Monday. But the truth is that we've seen it all before. So the question is it really going to be different? And I think that when you put up populism versus a technocratic government, on the doorstep, populism will win every time. That's no surprise. And if the government really thought that this was going to be similar to 97, well, I think they'd have to seriously think again, and I'm sure that they've now learnt the lessons. The world has dramatically changed. The world of political dynamics have changed dramatically, and these results have been baked in for months, and the results have been baked in for this kind of scenario for years.
But Graham, don't you think he should also be thinking of the people, all of the people? When you become Prime Minister, you are for all of the people, and his responsibility to them is obvious, isn't it, to resign, because he has let them down. They've voted against him now, and also all of the polls show that he's the most unpopular Prime Minister ever. He isn't serving the people then, is he?
Well, just to go back to, I'll take that point up, but just to go back to the, you know, that this will be difficult, let's stick with what we know. I mean, that's just a suicide strategy. We've had a handover between Blair and Brown, which was a smooth transition, sort of. We didn't have the problems. And to say that the Labour Party can't have a timetable and a smooth transition is ridiculous. It just goes against history. And I do think this, and I say this to all of my colleagues in Parliament, please don't go on the telly and say things that voters find, you know, not quite there. It doesn't do you or the Labour Party any good whatsoever. Political courage will take us forward. Political cowardice won't. In order to make progress, we need to be courageous now. We need to take the right decisions, and we need to be cool and calculated about it. But this Prime Minister
which means
is
what,
finished.
Graham? Which means what? Doing what?
Well, very, very, very similar to the Brown-Blair scenario. That was unfortunate in some ways, but the transition itself was fine. We need now the Prime Minister to come out and set a timetable so that the public can be reassured. He needs to rebuild the Labour Party in that period. He needs to, for example, the bullying against Carl Turner's mental health and all the other MPs who've been bullied by his number 10 operation. That needs to end. All those people who were pushed out, they need to be brought back in. The Labour family needs to come together, and we need to rebuild a future with a new Prime Minister, and one that can command confidence in the country. We've just seen the elections, and the people have voted on the Prime Minister and want him to go. The Labour Party must listen to the electorate. If we cock a deaf one to the electorate, we'll be punished next year. Well, I actually think next year's defeats are already baked in. But if we want to have any success at the general election, we need to act now.
You sound as though you're a party who've lost a general election already. You're saying we need to learn and we need to do different things. It's not prime ministerial speak, is it?
No, and look, I've said for a long time, I mean, what's happened is it was predictable. I was saying 3-4 years ago we'd end up in the position that we're in now. You know, probably I was a lone voice many times, but I was right. We are where we are, and it's going to get worse. And we probably are on the precipice of losing the general election unless we get a new leader who can command confidence. The public are very, very clear in their opinion, so we need to move on. Running the country or making decisions is about political courage. We need to find that political courage.
OK. Graham Jones, Simon Greaves, good to see you both this morning.
Yeah.
Thanks very much indeed. Love to get your thoughts on that this morning. See what you think.
Yes, you know, those who think we need a new leader, but who would work now? How would it work? Who would have the right sort of charisma to actually change things?
Don't know. Anyway, you could ponder it.
Yes.
You could ponder it whilst you count your £76,543.21. Should you be the winner of our new Great British giveaway? Is how you take part.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to spend however you like. That is extra cash that you could use to buy those treats you've always wanted, put a new car on the drive, or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. £76,543 and 21 pence is an incredible amount of money, and it could be all yours. For a chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do stay with us, it's 8:32. Still to come, Aidan McGee will be here with iconic boxing promoter Frank Warren for a look ahead to a clash of the Titans tonight. That's next.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Agents here.
He's got his gloves on.
One of you.
Yeah, we're keen. We're keen because it's a clash of the Titans, isn't it?
Yes, it is in Manchester tonight. It's Daniel Dubois against Fabio Wardley. It's an all-British clash, a mouth-watering one. 2 big punches as well. Let's bring in Frank Warren, the promoter, right now. A very good morning to you, Frank. First of all, should we read too much into the fact that Daniel Dubois has weighed in at just a slither over 18 stone, I believe? Good morning, Nathan. No, not really. He looks well, he looks fit. And, you know, with heavyweights, provided not carrying too much flesh, in how I look at it, that's not so bad. He looks well cut, well defined, and he's getting older. And as you get older, I can assure you put more weight on. And he's in a good frame of mind, as is Fabio. And it's a cracker of a fight. 2 big punches as well, Frank. Daniel Dubois, he's been in with some big opponents, hasn't he? He has. You look at his resume, he's fought everybody. He's fought Usyk twice. He unfortunately lost both those fights. But his other fights, other than one where he had 4 fractures of his orbital socket, other than that, he's won them all. And I think his last 6 or 7 fights, 5 or 6 of those guys were top 10 ranked, and he stopped them all. He's a tremendous puncher. And Fabio has got a great backstory too. Tell me about his backstory then, because I think a lot of our viewers will be interested in the fact that he came through the white-collar circuit. Yeah, he works as a salesman in an office, and he had a few of those white-collar fights, which are, you know, they are what they are, and then turned professional, and that was 20 fights ago. And it's never been known, you know, somebody to win a world heavyweight title fight with no amateur background in 20 fights. It's just amazing what he's done. He's learnt on the job.
Again, he's a tremendous puncher. Both the fighters have got a 95% knockout ratio. Both of them come to fight. They both walk forward fighters. And in Fabio's case, he made quite, I think, a statement which is very apt to his career. That is, a title fight lasts 36 minutes, but with him, it only takes a split second to change the whole dynamic of the fight, which he's done in his last 2 fights. He was behind on points and pulled these massive big punches out of the bag.
Forgive me for being flippant, Frank, but given that it's very good for a promoter when he's got a fighter who can sell a fight, does it make it easier when Fabio Wardley's got a background in sales?
It does. He's helped. They're different guys. One's an introvert, one's pretty easygoing. Now, Daniel doesn't say much. He leaves his talking in the ring, but he's good, Fabio. He's a very good talker. He's very eloquent, and I think he's a credit to the sport, as Daniel is in his way.
And what do you expect the crowd to be like tonight, Frank? Because you've done a few shows in Manchester now. It's not an obvious place to have it because it's usually in London. We see lots of fights in Saudi as well. What's the difference in having it in one of the regional cities?
I've put a lot of shows on up here. I think I've done 5 in the last, probably the last 14 months in the stadium. This is nigh on sold out. Just a few tickets left. The atmosphere is going to be electric. Now, this is where Ricky Hatton come from, so we know what the atmosphere has been like in the past. And we've got a great fight. You always get a great fight when it's 2 Brits involved. World titles on the line. Where does the winner go from there? Does he fight Usyk? Does he fight Tyson? Does he fight AJ? Does he fight Moses Itama? You know, the whole situation is so lively, mate, at the moment in the heavyweight division. And we've got a brilliant undercard on there. Every fight on there is a great match. It's going to be a magnificent fight. And we call it Don't Blink, and there's a reason for that. You blink and you may miss it, because it's not going the distance, whatever way you want to look at it.
Another fight I must ask you about as well, AJ against Fury. We know that it's going to happen now, probably end of the year. Any update for us? Any movement on getting that fight made?
The fight is signed for, and it's due to take place in November. AJ's got a fight in July in Riyadh. Tyson wants a fight in between because he'll be out the ring for nearly 7-8 months by the time November comes up. So there's discussions going on at the moment to try and get that sorted out, but it's on, provided they keep winning.
Good. And just a word on Arsenal, if I could switch sport for a while, because you've got a big game tomorrow against West Ham.
We have. They're all must-win games for us now. But you know what? I sort of was losing a bit of heart a few matches ago. They just went off the ball, but they've got their mojo back.
You've had a great week, haven't you?
Sorry?
You've had a great week.
We've had a great. I hope we have a great night tonight as well. I'm sure we will. But it's been Arsenal are going to do the double. They're going to win both of these. I'm convinced of it.
You heard it here first. Listen, thanks very much indeed for joining us, Frank, and we'll have all the coverage of the fight in the morning. Good to see you.
It's a pleasure. All the best, Aidan. God bless you.
Big fight tonight. I tip Dubois to win, just because I think his resume, he's been in with the best. He really has, and I think that might stand him in good stead tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it'd be interesting. I always like a good fight.
Yeah.
Good to watch.
Yeah.
He got me in a headlock once.
Yes, he did.
Anyway, we might be having a fight in the papers coming up. You never know. Scarlett and Kevin are standing by, raring to go. Seconds to round 1.
Well done.
First, though, here's your European forecast.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
There's some pretty unsettled weather making its way northeastwards across southern parts of Europe at the moment. Heavy rain and severe thunderstorms. It's been very wet across areas of Spain and Portugal already this weekend, and there's more of that to come through tomorrow. That rain also pushing into parts of France and further eastwards towards Italy. In some places we're looking at 25 to 50 millimetres of rain in just an hour or so, and then higher rainfall totals through a couple of days. So watch out, could be some disruption.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I was reading a little bit about her, and she's this diversity trainer herself. So she basically knows the system, doesn't she? And what has happened is that she has actually been disparaging to a colleague of hers, right, referring him as the white man, saying that she's had issues with white men before. And by the way, she was actually fired from her job, not because of anything else, but because of complaints by her own staff, underperformance. And instead of, taking that on board, she decided to use her identity. She decided to weaponize identity, and she got a whole lot of money for that, and that's actually wrong.
Part of it is this kind of inability to accept that there could, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this, but some people can be racist towards other people, and it doesn't have to just be, racism is bad, of course, everywhere, but there's this sort of inability to recognise that maybe someone who's a person of colour, as she's referred to in the article, might be racist towards white people. And the courts just wouldn't go along with that.
This redefinition of racism itself. So what we're doing is playing these semantic games. Actually, you can't be racist to white people because there's no power. Black and brown people don't have power. Well, actually, if you think about it, it's flipped a little bit, right? Because the institutions, our governments, even internationally, the UN and the ECHR, they're all on our side now. We kind of have the power. They've flipped it. They've overcorrected so much that it's become very taboo to think that white people do face discrimination, do face hostility, do face dehumanization. They're seen just as a category, as a block. It's very wrong, and it doesn't bring us together.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
8:45, front pages for you now. The Telegraph says MPs are starting to break cover to demand the Prime Minister quit.
The Guardian is leading with dire election results, piling pressure on the Prime Minister.
And The Times is all about Labour's historic battering, as they put it.
Yeah. The Sun is covering another story, as a couple of them are, I think, because they just can't face the politics anymore. It's a sad story about a marriage breakup with Tess Daly.
Right, Kevin Schofield and Scarlett Maguire are here to take us through some of those in a bit of detail. Should we have a look at The Guardian, Scarlett, looking at eviction notices?
OK, so what's happened is that Labour has brought in a renters' charter, and from May the 1st, you can't get rid of somebody for you can't get rid of a renter for no reason. So it's the end of no-fault evictions, and predictably, what's happened is some landlords, unscrupulously, have got rid of people leading up to May the 1st.
Well, they're going to, aren't they?
I know, and everybody knew this was going to happen. Sarah Vine has written a whole piece because it's happened to her. My daughter has spent the last few months desperately hoping that she was not going to be evicted because she really likes the place she's in. And that's the problem, is that you do things that are going to help most people, and then some people are not. And the story in The Guardian is terribly sad. I mean, there's a woman, in her late 60s who's lived in the same... No, I think she's in her 80s. She's lived in the same place for decades and is now going to have to move out. I mean, actually, they're going to appeal it, and they'll probably win. But it always happens. And I mean, Sarah Vine is absolutely furious about the whole thing. But actually, it was really important that we ended no-fault evictions. That tenants were just thrown out if they complained.
Out, and then the same flat would be put back on the market for much more money the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, I mean, they're right. There was unscrupulous behaviour which needed to be addressed, and the Tories as well said that Michael Gove,
oh yes,
absolutely,
absolutely,
said he would address it, and it didn't actually happen. So yeah, on the whole, it is a good thing, but there are always going to be these unintended consequences, and you can see why landlords are going to say, well, hang on a minute, this is going to be more trouble than it's worth. I'm just going to take the property off the market, sell it, whatever. And the poor tenant is the one left struggling to find somewhere else to live. You know? So
let's move on to a story you've picked out there, which I know a lot of our viewers will be very moved about, which is about channel crossings and a sort of milestone.
Yeah, I mean, so there was a lot going on in politics yesterday, and this I think was probably overlooked a bit, that the number of small boat migrants who have crossed the channel since the very first ones in 2018 has hit 200,000, which is, it's a big number. Understandably, a lot of people have got concerns about it. The government has pledged to famously smash the gangs and end it. The Conservatives tried and failed as well. But I think that another thing that, again, definitely has been overlooked is the fact that year on year, it's come down considerably this year. Now, they're still coming, obviously, but this year compared to last year, it's down something like 40%, which would suggest that maybe the government are actually getting on top of it. And I just really see that getting much coverage.
That isn't going to get coverage.
A disgrace, but actually they're not coming over in the same numbers as they did before. Now, it's still early days.
The big question for that is why?
Well, so again, I didn't realise this. The main reason they say is because the people smugglers are struggling to get a hold of engines for the boats that are strong enough to propel the boats over, because the supply
That's
chain
interesting, because that's something Keir Starmer said he was actually, or was it Shabana Mahmood, said they were actually doing, is trying to stop the Chinese engine supply.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's part of what's happened. So Border Force officials say that gangs have been forced to use cheaper, less powerful engines because law enforcement agencies have disrupted the supply lines, so they can't basically carry as many over at a time. So the numbers are coming down. So it's a step in the right direction.
It is, and also what I didn't realise is that we go on about the French letting it happen. Actually, apparently they stopped 1 in 3 boats. I mean,
but the argument with that is what do they do? They stop 1 in 3 boats going at that point, but then they just turn around and try again the next day.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a massive multi-million-pound operation, right? This isn't poor little people. To get on a boat, you have to have thousands of pounds. If you think of a Somali refugee, anybody from the Horn of Africa, the amount of money that it's taken them to get through, I mean, just to get through Africa, then to come.
I don't know how do they get them?
Well, but what happens is these gangs go into places like Somalia, they go into the villages and they say, your son will get a really good deal and we will lend you money. And then these people have to come over here because their families are basically being held hostage. I mean, somebody from the Daily Mail has done this. I mean, this is... So actually, it is about smashing the gangs. And the other thing is it's about processing people and sending them back so that we only have refugees.
When asked yesterday how he would deal with it if he were in government, Nigel Farage said he'd already been speaking to the potential next French president, whose name I can't remember, and agreed, they'd agreed between them that Nigel Farage would use the Royal Marines to go out and tow them back to French water.
Which must really please the French, because there's nothing you want more than a load of immigrants who don't really want to be in your country.
Well, apparently it's a very big problem for France, the areas around Calais and everything.
I can imagine.
Because terrible.
All of the locals are absolutely up in arms about it because the nature of their whole country has changed.
But that's the key, isn't it? That's the key thing that we sell to the French, that if we're able to stop something, then they're going to stop. They're going to stop going.
Well, yeah. But why would the French president agree to that then? For it to go back to France.
The possible next French president.
Well, quite.
Yes,
yeah.
but I imagine he's thinking that in the end it would stop the business and then the people would move away from.
But I remember back when David Blunkett was Home Secretary, so we're talking about the late 90s. Sangatte. There was a whole thing about. I mean, this has been.
He was very tough on illegal migrants.
He was very tough, but there was still that whole problem. And at that time, they'd come over in lorries and they'd come on the Eurostar. And these
even stories yesterday or the day before about some illegal migrants in this country in hotels with their £40 a week and whatever, saying this is. Don't like it. This is awful. It's not enough money. We can't live here.
And they want to go back. I know.
They're going back under lorries. That's the way they're choosing to go back. Yeah. Right. I will find the story for you somewhere.
Yes, no, I've seen it, and I mean it is.
They're saying they just don't get enough money. They can't even afford enough cigarettes on £40 a week.
Oh,
they say
we're not providing them with enough cigarettes.
No.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah. They're going back. That's something.
Yeah, well, true.
Yeah. And actually, the more people who know that actually life is tough here for all of us. Sorry.
Yes. Well, look, life is tough. Yes. I want to talk personal relationships in 45 seconds, Kevin. Oh. How do we solve our personal relationships?
Yeah, so there's this fella...
What have you been doing?
Well, I'm glad you've come to me as a noted expert in the field. But so this fella was... Derek Coon, his name is. He was very unhappy that his wife, his fiancée rather, wasn't doing enough of the dishes. So he asked AI... how he should ask her. He asked an AI girlfriend, and the AI girlfriend replied, "I am very sorry, it's very thoughtless of me, I will do it more often." So he then just basically asked his fiancée the same way he asked the AI person, and she was basically said, "Yeah, OK, fair enough, I will do it as well."
The fact he's got an AI girlfriend, which is...
It's a bit weird. Yeah, exactly. Very strange.
Rick, what's going on there? All right, you two.
Like a good relationship to me, but there you go.
Thanks very much.
OK, we're
time for the weather.
Weather time. Weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. Quite a mixed story weather-wise as we go through this weekend. There will be some rain at times, but also some dry, sunny weather. What we will also see, however, is a drop in our temperatures. But for the time being, there is a front lying across the country. That's bringing quite a bit of cloud and some rain across parts of southern Scotland, northern England, and that's going to edge southwards through the day, bringing some outbreaks of rain to parts of Wales and also the Midlands. Also a few showery outbreaks of rain coming into some southern, southwestern parts, and a few showers across the far north of Scotland. A north-south split with our temperatures, very mild or warm towards the south, temperatures peaking in the low 20s here, much colder than this further north. Some places struggling to get into double digits. And with that colder air, some of those showers coming in from the north as we go through the day, well, they could be a bit wintry, some sleet, some hail, even a bit of snow and graupel, perhaps even to lower levels. Otherwise, through the end of the day, it's looking largely fine for many across Scotland and also Northern Ireland. Just one or two spots of rain here and there. Cloudier for parts of northern England, the Midlands and parts of Wales, where we have that front lingering, and some further rain as well. Some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest, further east across central eastern parts of England, largely dry through the evening and the start of the night. Then a north-south split again when it comes to cloud amounts overnight. Cloudier towards the south with some rain trying to push in from the south. Clearer skies further north, but some showers here. Where we have those clear skies, it's going to be quite a chilly start to the day tomorrow with some frost in places. Meanwhile, it's milder further south, many places holding up in double figures. Through the day itself, then staying quite cloudy across the southern third of the country. Some rain towards those southern counties. Brighter further north, but across the far north, we do have a weather system making its way through. That's going to bring some persistent and at times heavier rain across northern parts of the Scotland later on. For all, it is going to be a chillier day, temperatures down several degrees on today.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to spend however you like. Put a new car on the drive or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost just £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, Parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Are we seeing a revolt against Sir Keir Starmer?
Labour MPs and union bosses openly call for the Prime Minister to quit after the party's worst local election results in history.
I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Well, Labour have lost more than 1,000 councillors, nearly 1,500 actually, and they've lost power in Wales. For the first time since devolution, the SNP managed to hang on in Scotland.
As support collapses across former heartlands, Reform UK have surged.
We're seeing some truly historic shifts in voting patterns in parts of this country. Things, frankly, I could never have dreamt that we'd see.
Well, Nigel Farage's party made big gains in the West Midlands, winning the likes of Walsall and Sandwell Council, but here in Birmingham they might be the largest party, but is it enough for a path to victory? I'll give you all the details.
Well, the Greens are celebrating their first ever mayoral wins in what some say is a major shift in British party politics. Is the two-party system finally coming to an end?
Yes, with Labour losing to everyone, everywhere, and the Conservatives not doing much better. People are talking about the end of the dominance of Labour and the Conservatives. But would that be reflected in a general election? Find out more with me very soon.
Actor and friend of the show, Christopher Biggins, describes the frightening moment that he was trapped inside his electric car after it died without warning on a busy road. We'll be chatting to him shortly.
Thank you, then, for all that you have done. And on behalf of the whole nation, I wish you a very happy 100th birthday.
The King hails Sir David Attenborough's lifetime of extraordinary service at an event celebrating his 100th birthday.
There's a front lying across the UK at the moment. Yes, it's bringing some rain, but it's also the boundary between colder air in the north, which is going to plunge its way southwards through the weekend. I'll have more details coming up.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Ann Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, if you're a member of the Labour Party, you've probably still got a headache this weekend trying to work out what on earth is going on. They've lost, what, about half of all their candidates who stood?
That's right. Maybe if you're one of those candidates, how disappointing it must be to be part of what is a monumental fail, isn't it?
Yeah, who do you blame for it? Do you blame the Prime Minister? Has this been a referendum on his leadership? It's how some people are pitching it anyway. But despite that, I mean, he says, you know, he takes responsibility for it, but he won't back down.
I'm not going to walk away from those challenges and plunge the country into chaos.
Cabinet ministers are rallying behind Sir Keir Starmer, allegedly. It could leave the PM, though, facing a leadership crisis.
Yeah, who do you believe in the Cabinet with all of this one? Reform UK, well, they came out on top as the big winners. That there is no denying. They got almost 1,500 new councillors. Nigel Farage says it's a historic shift in politics.
These are historic vote shifts. You can see seat after seat where the Labour vote share is down 35% and we're up 37%. It's a direct switching of Labour votes to Reform.
Elsewhere, the Green Party got their first directly elected mayor, with Zoe Garbett ousting Labour from the mayoralty in Hackney.
In Wales, Eleanor Morgan has resigned as leader of Welsh Labour. I mean, she lost her seat, actually, and the Labour Party lost governance there.
And the Scottish National Party, SNP, will be the largest party in the Scottish Parliament. But again, they've actually failed to secure a majority.
So it has sent, there's no doubt, it's sent shockwaves throughout Westminster and the rest of the UK. What does it mean when it comes to a general election, perhaps in 2029, if not before?
How before? Anyway, Olivia Utley might be able to tell us. It does feel as though everything disintegrated yesterday.
It really does. And, I mean, I think we use this word too often, but it is pretty much unprecedented. The smashing up of the two-party system, Reform going up to 1,441 council seats from 2. We forget just what a new party Nigel Farage's party is. It is absolutely extraordinary what happened yesterday. I think the big question, of course, is what next for Keir Starmer, because some people are saying that if the Labour Party is to survive, then Starmer has to go. And you can see why people would be saying that. In Wales, the result was utterly disastrous. Labour won just 9 of 96 seats. The First Minister, Eleanor Morgan, lost her seat and only gained 9% of the vote. Astonishing. Then you've got in Scotland, where Labour was convinced it would win a couple of years ago, gone down to joint second place along with Reform, plus hemorrhaging councils all across England. So what happens with Keir Starmer? Well, about 20 backbench MPs in a coordinated attack have called for him to go. But that's not reflected at a cabinet level. There are lots of cabinet ministers who are reportedly whispering, not happy with him. But none of them are prepared to put their head above the parapet and actually trigger a leadership contest.
Why?
Well, I think part of the reason is that historically, whoever triggers the leadership contest doesn't tend to be the person to win it. The other issue is none of them quite have their ducks in a row. You've got the 3 contenders who we're all talking about are Andy Burnham, Wes Streeting and Angela Rayner. Well, Andy Burnham really doesn't have his ducks in a row in that he doesn't have a seat in Westminster. Keir Starmer essentially blocked him from getting a seat last time via the NEC and looks set to do exactly the same again. The other issue is that there are some MPs who are reportedly willing to give up their seats in Manchester for Andy Burnham to give him a safe seat. But are there any safe seats in the north of England for Labour anymore? If you look at the map of what happened between 2022 and 2026 in Greater Manchester, it went from red to teal all over. So I think, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Reform would throw all of its resources at a by-election featuring Andy Burnham. Then you've got Angela Rayner, still has this outstanding tax bill. Until that's sorted, it's quite tricky for her to run. And then you've got Wes Streeting. Perhaps we will hear from Wes Streeting in the next couple of weeks. That's the one where you sort of think, what exactly is he waiting for? But the issue with Wes Streeting is he's not popular among Labour members. Labour members tend to sway more to the right than Labour Party, Labour MPs. And Wes Streeting's seen as someone on the right of the party.
I mean, this is the interesting thing because, I mean, the irony is he is more likely to attract people into the Labour Party than any other candidates because he's centre. I mean, centre ground tends to win, doesn't it, historically?
Yes, absolutely. But this is always an irony in British politics because exactly the same thing happens in the Conservative Party. You've got Conservative members are more right-wing than either Conservative MPs or the rest of the country, which is how you ended up in a situation where we got Liz Truss rather than Rishi Sunak in the first place. So this is always a bit of an issue in members deciding who gets to be the party leader. Let's see how it all plays out over the next few days. One thing which we've got to... I mean, next week is going to be fascinating. I'm on holiday, but for everyone else it'll be fascinating. On Monday, we've got Keir Starmer's big reset speech. Now, a lot is riding on that speech. I can't imagine what he could possibly say which would get the troops rallying behind him again. It sounds as though it's going to be pretty policy light. It's going to be sort of thematic. But this is, what, the 17th relaunch of his premiership since he became Prime Minister less than 2 years ago. No, I made that up, but it's a lot.
You see, that wouldn't surprise me. That's the trouble.
Exactly. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it is 3 or 4. At least. And a lot is riding on that. Can he win anything back there? Then you've got the King's speech also taking place next week. What could be in that? The problem is almost all of it has to have been decided already. There's not much punchy stuff that he can put in at this very last moment to try and persuade MPs to back him. And the problem for Keir Starmer is, although at the moment the Cabinet is in this state of paralysis, basically, no one quite wants to move, this is only going to keep rumbling on. No one's going to forget these local election results. This is the worst performance for a sitting government in living memory. Anyone who's saying, well, sitting governments always do badly mid-term, they don't do this badly. That's the problem. And they've been losing their seats to everyone. It's not just Reform, it's not just the Greens, it's everyone.
I mean, the problem is it is about how to move forward in this. I mean, Bill Rammell, a former Labour minister who was on the show this morning, saying, well, you know, the Prime Minister needs to, you know, show some mettle, to paraphrase him, you know, have some direction, take control more, assert his authority. Has he got any authority? Has he got any of his own policy ideas? Because, I mean, if he has, none of that's been obvious over the past 2 years.
Well, I think this is part of the problem. What Labour MPs are calling for Keir Starmer to do, it's all very fundamental stuff. It's not sort of, well, you just need to introduce this policy or that policy. It's you need to sort of change who you are in terms of you need one set direction. When Morgan McSweeney was Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff, there was perhaps a little bit more direction, a bit more purpose than what we've got at the moment. And what's happening at the moment is Keir Starmer attempts to do something, say that a huge reform of welfare last year. Backbenchers don't like it. They put up a fuss, and Keir Starmer backs down despite having this enormous majority. And I think part of the problem is that backbenchers consider him weak, partly because of policy issues like that, but also because of things like blocking Andy Burnham from getting a seat in Westminster. People view that and think it's sort of petty and weak. Can Keir Starmer shift his own image? Because that is probably the hardest thing for a politician to shift, what the country thinks of him as a person.
But he doesn't seem to know. You can tell when he tries to change gear on something, he doesn't seem to know how to address real people. He just sort of makes very bland speeches.
Well, maybe that's all going to change. I think you do have a point there, Anne, or at least Labour MPs certainly think something similar. There were some really interesting quotes going around when Keir Starmer made his speech in Ealing yesterday, saying that he took responsibility. But then the sort of second half of the speech was he says he takes responsibility and then doesn't really say what he's going to do. He's not going to stand down. He's not going to really change anything. There was a quote from a Labour MP saying it's like when my teenage son says he takes responsibility, he's sorry for leaving towels on the bathroom floor, and then does exactly the same again the next day. So how can Starmer turn this around? Lots of MPs say unless he turns it around, he's got to go, without it really explaining what he needs to do. Perhaps a new advisor, perhaps a new Morgan McSweeney, dare I say it, in Downing Street is the answer.
OK. Olivia, thank you very much indeed.
Can't imagine it'd be much fun being Keir Starmer's speechwriter at the moment.
Can't imagine it's very much fun being Keir Starmer at the moment.
No,
I don't know why he
I know.
bothers. Why keep going? I mean, if it was me, I'd say, all right, fair enough, I've made a mess of this, time to go.
Yeah.
But clearly that's not how politicians work, is it? Mind you, politicians have got some work to do in Birmingham. Jack Carson, our national reporter, is standing by where it was... I mean, it was an incredible result for the Birmingham Council elections yesterday, Jack. Reform, the biggest party, but no overall control. So how do they move this forward?
Well, that is exactly the negotiations that have got to take place over the next few days. Can the parties come together? Reform will be given the first opportunity as the largest party to try and form that administration, but they're currently sitting with one ward still left to declare, and we expect that result on Monday on 22 seats. Now, the majority needed to run Birmingham City Council would be 51, so they're not really even halfway there. If you would add the Conservative seats to that and say they went into a coalition with the local Tories here, that would only give them 16 more seats, so still not enough. So what kind of rainbow is going to be worked out, and actually can people on this council now, these newly elected councillors, can they put politics aside and try and work together to bring about the change needed in this city that obviously, and change obviously, that people have voted for, the main one being end the bin strikes. It was something which Labour councillors, as they lost their seats yesterday, were saying consistently kept coming up on the doorstep. John Cotton, the outgoing council leader now, who, although his seat is the last to be declared, conceded that yesterday, said he wasn't going to win his seat, so that he wished he could bring that deal forward sooner. It was 10 days out from the election when it was almost a last throw of the dice for Labour to say, look, we've managed to negotiate a deal with the union, vote for us and we can end the strikes soon. But they're not going to be the ones really with the power to do that now, so it's going to be up to the other parties. Before the elections, Unite had been negotiating with all of the different parties, knowing that this could be a difficult result for Labour in this election. But will Reform's idea of what a bin strike deal be the same as what Labour? You wouldn't think so. So Reform will have the opportunity to try and run this council, but the opportunity is different to actually be able to make it work. The local Liberal Democrats here have already said that they will rule out actually being able to work with the Reform Party here. And Shabana Mahmood, who lost so many of the Labour councillors in her constituency to independents, who had stood on pro-Gaza tickets, global issues as well as local issues, tweeting overnight that it was a devastating night for Birmingham and across the country, saying that good public servants was a verdict on us, i.e. the Cabinet and the government, not them. She said, and finishing that statement on Twitter last night, the PM has rightly said we must do better. It's a privilege to serve the British people and we must live up to it. So here in Birmingham, a city seemingly still divided.
OK, Jack, thank you.
OK, and on that note, it looks quite pleasant in Birmingham at the moment. But there's children in the background running along.
Either that or former Labour councillors, I don't know.
Just deciding to get out. Right, it is 9:15, time for the weather with Alex Burkill.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. Quite a mixed story weather-wise as we go through this weekend. There will be some rain at times, but also some dry, sunny weather. What we will also see, however, is a drop in our temperatures. But for the time being, there is a front lying across the country. That's bringing quite a bit of cloud and some rain across parts of southern Scotland, northern England, and that's going to edge southwards through the day, bringing some outbreaks of rain to parts of Wales and also the Midlands. Also a few showery outbreaks of rain coming into some southern, southwestern parts and a few showers across the far north of Scotland. A north-south split with our temperatures, very mild or warm towards the south, temperatures peaking in the low 20s here, much colder than this further north. Some places struggling to get into double digits. And with that colder air, some of those showers coming in from the north as we go through the day, well, they could be a bit wintry, some sleet, some hail, even a bit of snow and graupel, perhaps even to lower levels. Otherwise, through the end of the day, it's looking largely fine for many across Scotland and also Northern Ireland. Just one or or two spots of rain here and there. Cloudier for parts of northern England, the Midlands and parts of Wales, where we have that front lingering, and some further rain as well. Some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest, further east across central eastern parts of England, largely dry through the evening and the start of the night. Then a north-south split again when it comes to cloud amounts overnight. Cloudier towards the south, with some rain trying to push in from the south. Clearer skies further north, but some showers here. Where we have those clear skies, it's going to be quite a chilly start to the day tomorrow, with some frost in places. Meanwhile, it's milder further south, many places holding up in double figures. Through the day itself, then staying quite cloudy across the southern third of the country. Some rain towards those southern counties. Brighter further north, but across the far north, we do have a weather system making its way through. That's going to bring some persistent and at times heavier rain across northern parts of Scotland later on. For all, it is going to be a chillier day, temperatures down several degrees on today.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, you'll be very interested in the next bit, but particularly if you have an electric car. Although what happened to Chris Biggins, who we'll be talking to in a minute, also happened to me, and I thought it was because they were electric. But you've had a moment in the car where it just died on you.
Completely, all the electrics died and couldn't get out. And that was not an electric car. It was about 5 or 6 years ago.
Very frightening if it happens to you. Chris Biggins will share his story on how his electric car kept him captive on the motorway. That's next.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
9:21. Now, friend of the show, we say that lightly, Biggins recently had a terrifying experience inside his car.
Yeah, he was trapped inside the electric car. While he was driving it, it died without warning on a very busy road, apparently. Let's find out what happened, because it's happened to me, I think, but this sounds really terrifying. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Stephen.
Right, now, what happened? Describe the story to us.
Well, Neil, my partner, I don't drive anymore, but my partner Neil was driving, and we'd been to have a manicure and a pedicure, which one always does on a particular day. And we were coming back home, and we would turn the corner onto a busy road, which was a dual carriageway near the Tower of London. And Neil suddenly stopped behind a car, which was letting some people off into a hotel. And then I said, move, because the car moved in front. And Neil said, it's dead. There's nothing happening. And the whole car just sort of stopped. And I tried to open the door, and I couldn't open the door. I tried to open the window, couldn't open the window. We couldn't do the hazard lights. And cars were zooming down this road at about 40 to 50 miles an hour. Now, it was a 20-mile-an-hour limit to this road, which is important, because Neil rang the insurance. The insurance gave the RAC a number, and we then communicated with them. And this was at 5:45 in the evening. And they said, we'll be with you between 12 and 2 a.m. So we panicked. There was a terrible panic, because cars were zooming down, moving out into the road to not bump into us. And I was really panicking. And what happened next was that when we decided we couldn't get out, I then rang the police. Now, the police, I spoke to this girl, and this police girl said, no, we can't come and collect you, I'm afraid. No, you're on a 20-mile-an-hour limit, and it's not in our to come and help you. And I said, what do you mean? We're stuck in a car with cars going at 40, 50 miles an hour down the road. It's terrifying. They said, no, we can't help you. You ring your insurance and think. I said, we've done that, and they've told us to ring you. I said, I'm terrified. And she said, no, sorry, we can't come and collect you. It was just so frustrating. So there we are on double red lines, which I found out later is a terrible crime, and you could lose your license for being on one of those. So then, after about an hour, I was trying the door, and suddenly my door opened. And then I got out very precariously. Neil then had to climb over and get out that side. And we then were outside the car. Neil said, I just got to go to the loo, because there was a hotel opposite. I stood by the car, and all these cars were still coming by. And the time was going on, and we kept hearing from the RAC that it was an hour away, it was 2 hours away, it was the breakdown, but it was another 4 hours. I mean, it just went on. It was a nightmare. And we sat there until 1:10 in the morning. And I had to go home, because I had to take my medication for my diabetes, and also I had to work the following day. As we were going home, we got a phone call to say that the man had arrived to pick us up. Well, in fact, he had arrived, but he arrived in nothing to pick us up. So he said, I'm sorry, I can't do anything to your car. So we went home. I went to bed. Neil then, unbeknownst to me, heard from the people coming to help us again. And they said, we'll be there at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, my goodness me.
So Neil had to go out again and meet him. And then this wonderful man did actually take the car on the back of a trolley, a mechanical thing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And then took us home. And I was amazed when I went up early in the morning that Neil got to bed at 8:30 in the morning, and suddenly the car was there. And when we left the car, or rather had the car the previous day, we took it off the electricity thing. And then Neil put it back on electricity that night, and it was working. So it was a glitch that happened, and we didn't know anything what to do. There was no button to press, and you'd think there'd be a warning, like a bleep or something, to tell you that you're going to be out of electricity in 10 minutes or something.
But were you out of electricity in that sense, or was it just a fault?
Well, we thought we had electricity because we unplugged it before we went out.
Yeah.
But in fact, it must have been a fault. But we've heard from the RAC, who've absolutely been wonderful and said that we're terribly, terribly sorry for not being able to help you and being just awful. We've not heard a word from Fiat, who I don't know whether this happens a lot to them or what.
You see, what's going on? It's happened to me, very, very similar. I was actually driving when it died. So it just stopped.
Same as us.
And the wheel stopped turning, so it was quite sudden. And there was there were all sorts of traffic behind me, and they were beeping me, thinking I was just a stupid lady who couldn't drive properly. And I couldn't even move the steering wheel to actually try and see if I could just go into the hard shoulder while I could feel it was happening. It's terrifying. Now, what is this? Because when I was telling Stephen about it, he said it happened to.
It's happened to me once.
And it wasn't in an electric car.
No, not because if the electrics fail, even just in an ordinary car, you're in the same situation. The electrics just died.
Absolutely. And you'd think there'd be something that you'd have nowadays in an electric car that you could boost it for half an hour and able to get to a point where you could charge it up. But no, nothing.
But if you can't get out of the car, you can't do anything.
No, absolutely nothing. All you do is I said to the policewoman, I said, I hope you'll be feeling good tomorrow morning when you hear that I have died in my car. And she said, no, we can't do anything. We can't. It was so unhelpful. I mean, it's the police who I really am absolutely disgusted with.
Yeah, it's not leaving you abandoned in a road is not a good thing at all, is it? Biggins, it's good to see. I'm glad you're all right, both of you.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you very much indeed. Good to see you both too.
Well, maybe somebody's watching who can explain why these things are happening.
Well, look,
I was terrified, and I sort of vowed never to have an electric car after that.
Yeah, well, it won't save you, unfortunately.
I didn't know.
Did you get rid of it?
I did. I got rid of it. Yeah. I couldn't trust it anymore. How could you trust it? Something that lets you down, stops working while you're driving.
I know. It's so dangerous, so dangerous.
Well, look, we have reached out to Fiat and they have expressed concern for Biggins' experience, in particular, that he and his partner have not been able to get out of the vehicle. The car is equipped with a manual lever to open the doors in the event of power failure, they say, so this shouldn't have been a problem.
OK, we all know where the manual lever is for our car door, do we?
Well, they just mean the door handle.
Well, obviously, Chris tried the door handle to get out.
Yeah, but the lock... You see, it's the lock, isn't it? It's the lock that hasn't released.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cars. They're wonderful when they work.
It's like all technology, anything...
Absolute nightmare.
Fails at some point. Nothing's infallible. Anyway... On to the giveaway, which you could spend on a new car.
Might be able to find a really decent one for this. Yes.
Oh yeah, £76,543
and
21
car
pence.
I'd get.
There you go. You get a lovely one with that because it's tax-free as well. Here's how you enter.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. What would you spend it on? Treat the family and friends to the ultimate summer party, or just relax with enough cash in the bank to make this year your best yet. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny. So, what are you waiting for? For a chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, the Pentagon is lifting the lid on its UFO secrets. With classified files now being open to the public, we'll find out what's in them next.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dixon weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
9:34. Thanks for all your comments about electric cars and how much you love them.
Oh, really? Not fans?
Not for no.
But this isn't just the electric car problem, actually. That's the issue.
But when you're in an all-electric car, you're stuffed, aren't you? If the electrics go...
Yeah, but it's the same in an ordinary car. You can't start it, you can't unlock the doors, you can't do anything if the...
I really didn't know that in an ordinary car. I blamed it totally on the fact that it was electric.
It's only happened to me the once, but the car just completely and utterly died.
One of our viewers says, I wouldn't touch an electric car with a barge pole. I'd bash it with a barge pole, frankly. That's how I feel about them.
See, I'm looking at buying one.
Don't. Sorry, I mustn't give you motoring advice.
It would save me a fortune in petrol.
Oh, would it?
Anyway,
but you worry you get this
range anxiety.
That's it.
It's fine. They've got like 400-mile ranges now. As long as they don't just die on you. But I mean, that can happen to any car. This is the problem. Anyway, I'm sure you won't agree. We're going to know what you like. You don't like electric vehicles. I know you don't. I know you don't. But anyway, we're going through the papers with Kevin Schofield and Scarlett Maguire. Good morning. You two saved me by talking about Labour's historic battering.
Right. Well, we have to admit that it was an appalling night on Thursday night. And
whose fault was it?
I think, to be fair, that on the doorstep, a lot of people were very cross with Keir Starmer and felt that he hadn't done the right thing. And I think it had more to do with the Labour government than the local councils and councillors that they were throwing out.
And so, with your vast political experience, because you've been in the game a long time, what should happen?
Well, Keir has got to have a proper think about what he's going to...
That's not going to wash.
I know. Look.
Sit down and think hard about it.
OK, Stephen, the problem is that if he got up and said, as everybody predicted and one knew that he was not going to do on Friday he was obviously going to go and say, you know, I know it's terrible, but I'm staying. Everything that he's done in the last few weeks has been about I'm staying for the long term. And his great advantage is that there's nobody obvious to take over from him. And you know, that's there. That you look at the three main contenders, Angela Rayner, Wes Streeting and Andy Burnham, and all of them have got terrible problems before they get there.
If he goes, I mean, it's in a way, it's not about what follows him, is it? It's about whether, on principle, morally, whether he should go, because there would then be a gap. It would get filled. It'd get filled eventually by someone. Morally, should he stay?
Well, I think he has to do what's best for the country, and I think leaving it with a vacuum about who's going to be at the top, when we're actually in a terrible cost of living crisis, we've got massive problems abroad.
But can you really say what best for the country is him staying at the moment?
Well, is it best for the country that I mean, remember what happened when Boris Johnson went, and there was months of chaos as the Tory party decided between Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss, and then we got Liz Truss, which led to more chaos. I mean, chaos that actually, frankly, Rishi Sunak, when he took over, couldn't deal with, and we're still left trying to deal with.
Is this a sign that we're getting the politicians we deserve? In other words, really, you know, not terribly interesting people, and not people... I mean, you were describing, basically, keep Keir Starmer because he's the least worst.
Yeah,
that's a terrible indictment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a Labour problem. I think it's safe to say we're not living through a golden age of politician. I think all the parties really would accept that.
I mean, I think Keir is actually better than any of the other opposition leaders.
But that doesn't say much for the rest of them.
He doesn't seem to have much of an idea. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you said no idea, Keir, don't they, in some of the papers? But where's his vision? What does he stand for? What does he want to achieve? I mean, none of that is there. We should be able to recite that off. This is what he wants to do.
And that's what we're going to hear on Monday. Right.
Well,
yeah,
really?
But I do think. I mean, I think the other. I mean, I think he's been a disappointment. There is no question about that. And something has to happen, and either he has to turn it around or somebody has to come up. But I do think that as far as running the country goes, he is better than the others. I mean, he really, really is.
Nigel Farage has charisma. He's untried as a Prime Minister.
Nigel Farage, every policy he puts up, the journalists pull apart within 24 hours. I mean, it is absolutely dreadful. It's a wish list.
Is that fair, Kevin?
No, I mean, I think it's fair that he's held up to scrutiny, undoubtedly. And this £5 million donation story, I don't think that's going to go away. I know he doesn't want to talk about it right now, but that's not going to go away. But I think Monday, you mentioned Monday, this speech that Keir Starmer's apparently going to make another reset, that is going to be crucial, I think. If he doesn't come up with something, and there's no evidence thus far to suggest that he will come up with something, he's going to knock it out the park.
I'd be very surprised.
I'd be very surprised. I think a lot of Labour MPs would be very surprised. I think if he doesn't, then I think a lot of Labour MPs are maybe just keeping their powder dry right now. Give him a chance over the weekend, come out and say what he has to say on Monday, and then they'll make up their mind. But they want to keep an eye on is the cabinet.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cabinet are doing exactly that. Is saying, OK. But, I mean, when you see the Daily Telegraph has a thing saying MPs break cover with calls for Starmer to quit, I mean, it is the same people who've been calling for him to quit for the last 4 months.
More or less. There's one or two. I mean, Louise Haigh hasn't. thus far.
Yeah,
she
but
hasn't. I mean, she's to come out publicly and say it.
I know, but
and one or two others. But you're right. A lot of them are.
Yeah, I did notice someone last night saying, "Oh, look, Richard Bergen's wants him to go." Well,
oh my God!
I
know.
What a surprise!
Ian Lavery, whatever his name, Brasher. I mean, who lost heart? Who didn't? Whose wife lost heart?
Clive Betts has come out this morning. He's certainly not one of the usual suspects. And
Yeah,
he has to set a timetable. You know, so there are others, I think, who might well do that.
Oh, no, there's definitely there's a crisis.
Yeah.
There's a crisis that we will see. And the last time there was a crisis, he did manage it.
Okay. We shall see. Well, we'll see if your faith holds up, Scarlett, in that. I'm not entirely convinced. We're going to take a short break, but we are back in just a moment with these two. But first, here is your European weather.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
There's some pretty unsettled weather making its way northeastwards across southern parts of Europe at the moment. Heavy rain and severe thunderstorms. It's been very wet across areas of Spain and Portugal already this weekend, and there's more of that to come through tomorrow. That rain also pushing into parts of France and further eastwards towards Italy. In some places we're looking at 25 to 50 millimetres of rain in just an hour or so, and then higher rainfall totals through a couple of days. So watch out, could be some disruption.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The ping test, a tap with a pencil to check for cracks. This simple quality control method has been used for hundreds of years and is still in practice here at Portmeirion Group, a traditional British pottery firm. But before they are pinged, they are put through kilns twice, and that requires energy, lots of it. It's this cost that is putting British ceramics under threat. Portmeirion's CEO, Mike Graybold, wants to expand the company. 2/3 of its products are exported internationally, and demand is growing.
And we have a huge opportunity to do more of that with the brands and designs we have, but it's incredibly difficult when the energy prices are so much higher here than they are in Europe, in Asia, and the United States.
The Stoke community plays a huge part in Portmeirion's global story. Most of its 500-plus workforce live locally. Many come from a potteries family. One has worked at the factory, just a short stroll from the town centre, for more than half a century.
The skills that our people have are phenomenal, and that's why the product is so well respected as you go around the world. Made in Stoke-on-Trent is something that anywhere in the world people look out for in terms of a seal of approval, quality, authenticity. So they're amazing at what they do. They're very, very valuable. They come in, they train with us for years to do what they do. And then at the end of the day, product comes out the door and we are able to ship it all around the world.
The government says it wants to get Britain off the roller coaster of oil and gas prices, which have shot up amid the Iran war. But change isn't coming quickly enough. If prices stay high, these kilns could soon run cold.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
I will.
Right. We're hopefully going to be talking to the Environment Minister, Emma Reynolds, shortly. But as we wait for her to arrive, let's continue talking to Kevin Schofield and Scarlett Maguire. Can we talk UFOs?
Yeah.
Please, because this is actually
What's
quite
happened? Yeah,
interesting.
because I don't...
So, it's in the Sun today that the Pentagon has begun releasing files on UFOs, and then so the public can draw their own conclusions. Do you believe in UFOs?
Yeah.
No.
So, well, there you go. So there's these files. I'm not sure. I guess they'll be online. But so one document, for instance, has an FBI interview with a drone pilot in 2023 who reported seeing an object in the sky when they were out. So what? Another one is a NASA photograph from the Apollo 17 mission in 1972, which showed 3 dots in a triangular...
That's the most interesting one.
...formulation. Yeah. So there's 162 files just in the first release. There's going to be more.
Yeah. I mean, there's some fascinating... there's like a sort of 8-pointed star or something in one of them that seems really... odd.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that they can't... There's also reports of them saying, well, we've heard stuff before, and they've said, oh, no, it was just sort of space debris, and they've now... The documents refute that and say, no, it wasn't.
So
we don't actually know what it was.
But I think the word...
This is one. This is the big star thing.
Yeah. I mean, what is that?
Well,
it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but it looks like a Chinese weather balloon to me. But... Well,
it's a very fancy weather balloon.
Yeah, I just think that the word unidentified in the UFO is the key. It's something odd. These things happen, but it's unidentified. It could be anything.
But what was so funny was that Obama was asked about this, I mean, quite recently, and said... we don't really know anything, but possibly there is something. And Trump accused him of letting state secrets go, and now they're letting it all out.
All right, we're going to leave you two there. I tell you get your earpiece in, Scarlett, so you can listen to what Emma Reynolds, the Environment Minister, has to tell us, because she's joining us now. And a very good morning to you. What a complete and utter disaster for the Labour Party. I mean, there's no getting away from that, is there? However you lay politically. Who's got to take the blame for this?
Well, it has been a terrible set of results, and as you say, there's no getting away from that. We've had terrible results in local government in England and obviously in the Scottish and Welsh elections as well. I just want to say thank you to all the hard-working Labour councillors, but also Labour members of both the Scottish and Welsh parliaments for the service that they have given to local people. I think, you know, mid-term elections, people do send a message to the government, and we are hearing that message loud and clear, that they are frustrated with the pace of change and they want us to deliver on the mandate that we were elected on less than 2 years ago.
Is that really what they're saying? I mean, you admitted you've done very badly everywhere. I mean, Anna Sarwar, who was your leader in Scotland, says the Prime Minister needs to go. So why aren't you listening to what Anna Sarwar is saying?
Well, I don't... Sure. Well, look, I have a huge amount of respect for Anna Sarwar. He's an old colleague. We came into Parliament together in 2010, many years ago. But I don't agree with him that we should change leader, because I don't think the British public want to see a period of instability and chaos. We saw what happened in the last Conservative government. They had 5 prime ministers, 7 chancellors of the Exchequer, 9 education secretaries. That wasn't good for the government, but it also wasn't good for the British people, because it led to lower living standards and poor public services. So I think we need to get on with the job, but we need to step up a gear and communicate better what we're doing, but also deliver change more quickly. I did speak to lots of people on the doorstep in Milton Keynes and in other parts of the country, and I know that there is dissatisfaction with our government, and we've got to take that on the chin, and we've got to listen to what people are saying, reflect on that, and put a better offer on the table.
But you say it's important that you serve the British people well. And frankly, is it really serving the British people well to have the most unpopular Prime Minister ever in place after, frankly, this last round of elections have given him what Churchill would have called the order of the boot?
Well, look, these elections have been very bad indeed. There's no getting away from that, and there's no sugar coating it. We do often see mid-term elections are bad for incumbent governments. We saw that after the Tony Blair landslide in 1999, two years after he won that giant landslide, and he went on to win a general election in 2001, despite the fact he lost hundreds of councillors in 1999. But I do accept that the British public are not happy with our government, and we've got to prove to them that we can improve their lives, we can improve public services, and we can deliver a better future for them and their families. I accept that there is that dissatisfaction.
Yeah, but the trouble is, I mean, you've said this morning, and people were saying to us yesterday morning, you know, this requires us to push ahead with change. We've got to get on with it more quickly. People are seeing change, but they're seeing change for the worse. This isn't a message to say we want to see change more quickly, is it? It says we're not remotely happy with what you're doing. You need to stop and do a U-turn, in effect. Stop damaging the economy, get things back on track.
Well, look, I accept that as a government, and the Prime Minister accepts this, we have made mistakes. The winter fuel allowance, changing the rules around that, which we since corrected, was a mistake. But we are also making progress. NHS waiting lists are down, violent crime is falling, net migration is falling. But I accept that the pace of that change isn't good enough. We have legislated to give people better rights, so private renters across the country from last Friday now have better security of tenure.
But all of those things,
all of those
things may be well and good, and you can be very proud of some of those things. But yesterday's elections, or Thursday's elections, showed that it's simply not good enough what you're doing, and just accepting the fact that people are disgruntled isn't enough.
Well, as I said, the Prime Minister will set out next week our vision for the future as a government. I think he is the right person to lead our government and to deliver that change. We have a 5-year mandate for change that we won less than 2 years ago at the last general election. As I've said, I know that people are dissatisfied. This has been a terrible set of results. We need to listen and we need to reflect, and the Prime Minister will be setting out further steps early next week.
OK. Minister, thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. Scarlett and Kevin are still here. I just wondered, Kevin, what... Doesn't sound like they're listening to me.
No, I mean, there is a part of, obviously, they have to trot out the line. You can't have a Cabinet Minister coming out on the TV slagging off the Prime Minister, obviously. But to the ordinary member of the public, I think it just sounds tone deaf in a way.
Do you agree, Scarlett?
I think, yeah, but... like Kevin, I think she's in a terribly difficult position, is that on the one hand, they are disastrous results, and on the other hand, what do you do about them?
And she's been pushed out to defend.
Oh, of course, of course.
It's interesting, the ones that are pushed out and the ones that aren't out. Like, if Ed Cooper put out a tweet last night not supporting the Prime Minister, you know, saying these terrible results we've got to learn, and didn't support the Prime Minister in terms of he must stay in his job, whereas others did. So I think that's worth keeping an eye on.
All right, you two. It's been great to see you both this morning.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much indeed.
Absolutely. Next up, Saturday Morning Live with Olivia Utley and Charlie Peters.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your GB News weather forecast coming to you from the Met Office. Quite a mixed story weather-wise as we go through this weekend. There will be some rain at times, but also some dry, sunny weather. What we will also see, however, is a drop in our temperatures. But for the time being, there is a front lying across the country. That's bringing quite a bit of cloud and some rain across parts of southern Scotland, northern England, and that's going to edge southwards through the day, bringing some outbreaks of rain to parts of Wales and also the Midlands. Also a few showery outbreaks of rain coming into some southern, southwestern parts, and a few showers across the far north of Scotland. A north-south split with our temperatures, very mild or warm towards the south, temperatures peaking in the low 20s here, much colder than this further north. Some places struggling to get into double digits. And with that colder air, some of those showers coming in from the north as we go through the day, well, they could be a bit wintry, some sleet, some hail, even a bit of snow and graupel, perhaps even to lower levels. Otherwise, through the end of the day, it's looking largely fine for many across Scotland and also Northern Ireland. Just one or or two spots of rain here and there. Cloudier for parts of northern England, the Midlands and parts of Wales, where we have that front lingering, and some further rain as well. Some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest, further east across central eastern parts of England, largely dry through the evening and the start of the night. Then a north-south split again when it comes to cloud amounts overnight. Cloudier towards the south, with some rain trying to push in from the south. Clearer skies further north, but some showers here. Where we have those clear skies, it's going to be quite a chilly start to the day tomorrow, with some frost in places. Meanwhile, it's milder further south, many places holding up in double figures. Through the day itself, then staying quite cloudy across the southern third of the country. Some rain towards those southern counties. Brighter further north, but across the far north, we do have a weather system making its way through. That's going to bring some persistent and at times heavier rain across northern parts of Scotland later on. For all, it is going to